Welcome to the One Life One Chance podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. That's Derrick Green, as you can tell. Once again, Derrick's here blessing the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
With this wonderful presence. I'm really hoping that, I don't know what's going to happen in the future with Derrick, like as far as going back on tour and us going our separate touring ways. So I appreciate you being here now during the whole lockdown. You being on the pod with me. I appreciate
you, man.
And
Thank you.
So, as we said we were going to do, and as we've never done before, we mentioned when Efrem was on here that he said he would love to come back and do a deep dive of our catalogs, whatever, and come back on the podcast for part 2. Fans and listeners, you guys reacted. You want it. So here we go, part 2. First time ever. Welcome back to the podcast, Mr. Efrem Schulz.
Oh, snap.
And he's gonna be taking over the podcast. This is the first podcast that I had to have no notes to prepare for asking somebody else questions.
It's a good feeling,
He's got notes. He's got his fucking iPad. I mean, his fucking computer.
Yeah, this technological stuff.
So Efrem, with further ado, Efrem, you can kick this podcast off. Let's do it.
I got my ColecoVision open.
Coming in.
I'm ready to go.
His iPod.
Yeah, my iPod Touch. It's got all my notes in it, man.
Are you nervous? Are you good?
I'm a little nervous. I've never done this, but I'm excited.
You're good.
I'm excited.
It's all good.
You've never interviewed anybody ever?
I'm nervously excited, like a good nervous.
Yeah.
I get that.
You know what I mean? I've interviewed
I feel you,
before.
man.
I know. All right, so Efrem, take it away. This is your podcast.
All right, so check it out.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. We're going to go head to head, both of you guys, and kind of follow your timelines of your bands from where your records start to now.
Cool.
All right.
I've never done this ever, and that's why I'm excited.
Okay.
And so, okay. Now, if I would use one word to describe both of you, it would be output.
Okay.
Because
all right. I was thinking pragmatic.
Well,
Let the host talk.
I was thinking
sorry.
super sexy, but
that too.
So I would use the word output because whether it's music or through other avenues, you guys have constant output. That's
great.
And I mean, you with the band and with recording a bunch of records and touring and everything else you do in your life, right?
Yeah.
And you just going in a fucking overtime and making like fucking 50 records with Sepultura, dude. You know what I mean? It's crazy, man. You made a lot of records.
Yeah, I realized that we only made 6 albums in 26 years, and 1 covers album. That's bad. We should make a lot more. You know, comparative.
Right, but at the same time, too, some bands may make less frequent releases, but you guys were in the thick of the hardcore touring, and the DIY touring. You know what I mean? Not that you guys weren't fucking touring your asses off either, but. You know what I mean? It's weird.
I think it really depends on the band. You know, sometimes I feel that it's better to have a lot of time in between, you know?
Yeah.
Because you can really think things through and then you can come out with some really amazing
Yeah, we've never been
work.
a band that said, okay, we're going to make an album once a year and tour the album every year.
Yeah,
like
that
the
becomes,
last 3 records have been
that can
7
burn
year,
you out, too.
Last 3 records have been 7-year gaps almost between the last 3 records.
Wow.
And it's just worked for us. I don't know why, but we never were the band like, we have to make a record to make the tour. We just toured and played older songs. I don't know. Anyway, guys, it's your interview. Okay?
I've fallen into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We tried to. I remember Stormy, booking agent
Stormy.
For everybody that doesn't know
Love you, Stormy.
Our friend Stormy.
So I can't believe it's still around.
Yeah, the best.
Killing it.
Wow, I remember her
that's
saying
awesome.
to me, like, I remember we were rushed. Got to get a record out. Got to get on tour. And she says, "Man, look at your friends. Look at AFI. It took 4 years for this record. Like, what are you worried about?"
Yeah.
I mean, there's always those people around you that are pushing you
Yeah.
to put out stuff immediately.
But you don't want to
that
force
can be a
it.
turnoff.
You don't want to
exactly.
force it. You want to
You're
have
right.
like
Exactly.
inspirations and stuff.
True.
So,
Go ahead.
Yep.
So that being said, 1995 would be the beginning for you as far as full length releases. Right from My Love Is Real to having a full length.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a demo and all that shit.
And I remember touring with Sick of It All and them kind of explaining H2O to us. You know, because I had heard you guys and they're like, oh, well, this is how it started. And they explained that whole thing to us. We're all, whoa. And they're like, yeah, now they're like the fucking biggest shit ever. You know, like, it was crazy. But so your start was in 96 as far as releasing an album with Sepultura, right?
It was a little bit later, like 98.
It was 98. That's right. But you started jamming in 96. Or do I have
actually 97? Like December is when I went to do the audition for Sepultura.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your timelines aren't that far off.
No, it's not.
No, not at all.
So
I remember when he was doing the logo for H2O. Like,
Okay. That's what I want to
was.
get into.
Yeah.
So let's say 1995.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is really important leading up to how you guys expressed yourselves on your records after 95 and on, because where were you at in 1995? Were you struggling? Were you chilling? Were you raging? You were touring? Were you touring? You know, like,
yeah.
Let's start with you, Toby. Where were you at in 95? Where was your headspace? What was your family situation? What was life like?
I was just dating when we lived in Manhattan.
You were okay.
Yeah, and you know, I had we had made a demo. We had created a little buzz, and our first show was December 28th, 1994. It's like on New Year's kind of thing, with Murphy's Law in Queens. That was the first real show. But I think I was working at Nana still, if I would say so.
Yes.
We were working across the street from each other around the exact same time.
Exact same time.
You guys knew each other since before this?
Yes,
okay.
for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So I was at Nana Shoes, and he was at Fat Farm, right across the street from each other on Prince Street.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And
directly across the street.
Where my head was at was I was just a roadie, and I actually I realized that I want to say something as well. Like I love being in the background, and you know I was a terrible roadie. I'd always leave Armand's drum pieces behind in every fucking state. But you know they wrote this song from Love Is Real, and like we started playing it as like a encore song, or it's just something fun to do. And then I started making stickers and started like, yo, I really want to do this. And then I started writing in a journal on tour, sick of it all, in the back of the bus. So that's when I wrote 5-Year Plan and these other songs. So my head was like, yo, I want to do this band. It was sort of a joke because H2O Purity was going to be super straight edge, like, you know, we're pure, we just drink water. Like it was a whole kind of play on that. But then it started getting a buzz and we started like, oh, H2O. And we then became one song, then 2 songs, and 5 songs. And then, so... I worked at Roadrunner Records for a long time in the mailroom. I worked at Concrete Marketing. I moved to New York. In my yearbook, it says, move to New York and support New York hardcore scene. That's all it said in my yearbook for my goals.
So badass.
And I
people at your school like, what the hell is he talking about?
And continue skateboarding. Yeah. And so I went to New York and I got a job at Roadrunner, then Concrete, through the Sick of It All guys, became a roadie. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, the next thing was to have my own band. So around that time, hanging out with Freddie, Isaac, Hoy, all of us, like Madball was just kind of doing their thing too. The 7-inch came out a long time ago, but they were going to have like a band. Isaac was starting Crown of Thorns. So we like all like crazy kids in the city going to hip hop clubs, carrying a boombox down Lower East Side, you know, just running around, you know what I mean? Yeah, and we're both kind of roadies too, you know. Like Isaac came on tour with us, and so it was his beginnings around that time, you know.
Okay. Yeah. And where were you at that time?
So on the other side of the street,
it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
It's amazing. Actually. I had no idea.
So I got this job at Fat Farm through Paul Middleman, and he is a friend of my sister.
Shout out to Paul. He's awesome.
Paul is the man. And so we have a lot in common, Paul and I. He loves hardcore. He knows a lot about it. Hardcore and punk rock and skating and all that lifestyle. So we got along really quickly, and he was like, hey, they're looking for assistant manager at Fat Farm. And Fat Farm had just kind of opened up. And it was a store. Fat Farm was a store run by Russell Simmons, and he never had a clothing line before, anything like that. So there's like the only shop that existed. I didn't know really anything about Fat Farm. I told my friends, they're like laughing. They're like, "Oh my god,
yeah,
you're gonna be working at Fat Farm?" They couldn't believe it. They're just like, "That's hilarious." But anyway, ended up working there. I was working at an art gallery before that, and for a minute. And that's where Paul was like, hey, it's a simple job. I've never worked in a clothing store or anything like that my entire life. So that's where I was at. And I was in a band. It's called, I was trying to start a band actually. And so I had a band, it was called Alpha Jerk. And so we were doing shows, and I had to start from scratch because I had moved to New York with Charlie Garriga, who played us in Civ.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because Charlie is from Cleveland, and we played in a band called Outface.
Yes.
So we moved to New York to do music and to continue, but not as Outface, as something else.
Yeah.
So we got together and had like a bunch of different people playing, like Sammy Siegler. We had Eric
Rice, my bass player.
Eric Rice.
Wow.
He would play for a minute. Sarah Cox, she was awesome. She actually... old school OG from back in the day. Shout out to Sarah. She knows everybody. And actually Joseph was the one that introduced me to Sarah. He's like, yo, she's a dope bass player. She's old school.
That's
cool. You got to get her on. And she's the best person. So we had this band we're going on. And anyway, what happened was the idea of Civ came about. and Charlie left and Sammy left, and they started to play with Civ, and I was like, all right, I'm going to start my own shit from scratch.
Alpha Jerk.
And I had no idea what I was going to do. I was like, I'm going to get a guitar. I'm going to get a 4-track. I'm going to write these songs, and I'm going to do something. I really want to be in that, still continuing the music scene. And I was hanging out across the street with Toby, and I remember you were doing the logo for it, and I was like, I want to go to some shows you guys do it. And I was like, roadie for like maybe a show or two that you guys did with like Crown of Thorns.
Probably,
and I was just like, oh my God, that Juggernaut song from them.
Oh yeah, Crown of Thorns.
My favorite song. And
shout out to Isaac. Great song,
out
man.
Isaac.
Yeah.
And it was fun times. It was fun, man. I mean, those guys were just like wilding, and the shit just really took off. You know, it was really cool to see that.
Yeah, I feel like in some sense, like all of us guys hanging out, we weren't supposed to quote unquote make it or do anything.
Right.
We were just like kind of the crazy kids, and we went to the shows, we shitty roadies,
a lot of shows,
and nobody expected us to actually make music that maybe sounded the way it did, and maybe have and connect with people. I feel like sometimes like we were like totally the black sheep. Isaac, all of us, Freddie. All of us
they were definitely. I mean, I thought you were
I mean?
part of that whole crew of like. I thought you were really like, tough guy. And, before I met Toby, I was like, oh, he's like one of them dudes, like I was like, yo,
those are my friends.
And I love those. I love those guys. Like after like getting to know them, but coming to New York and just like, yo, what's up with those dudes? And then I'd see them across the street, like Tompkins Square Park, like working out and like
Freddie
pit
doing
bulls and doing pull-ups and shit. And I'm like, oh,
Freddie doing the pull-ups. Freddie doing pull-ups on light poles on St. Mark's.
Oh, that's
drinking 40s.
Yeah, I would see them all the time.
Yeah, and I wasn't that type of kid because I moved to New York.
But I assumed that you were because you were rolling. I was like, oh, that kid's all right.
Yeah, but those dudes took me in when I moved there at 18. Like all of us started hanging out, but they came from different lives than I came from. You know what I mean? But when I came to New York, it was a lot harder, different environment. You know what I mean?
Doubt.
So those guys always had my back.
That's cool.
And I was always one trying to break up the fights. I was the only straight edge one hanging out. People all freaking 40s smoking weed. I was the only straight edge one there. And so like I don't know. Just
I mean, I realized that after like hanging out with you, I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay, everybody's their own individual, their own personality.
It's something, and there's something you said I want to point out. You guys did it to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's just what you did.
Yeah, it's what you did.
It wasn't for there was no even thought that it could be a living or a thing.
No.
And do you guys find it funny too when I'm sure you've had a similar conversation with a kid where they're like, hey man, like, so how do you get into like the industry? Yeah. And I was just like, what industry? I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm not in it anymore. Like I'm like, dude, like I wasn't even in it. Like we just, you know what I mean? Like I just
happen. You don't plan it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you just really have to have that in your heart, I guess. Really want to do it, feel it. And just do it. You'll do whatever it takes as far as, I was thinking about that question, like, what would I tell a young person? I'm like, buy equipment. I was thinking that the other day. I'm like, man, even years later, having experienced touring and everything and getting money like from labels or whatever, we unfortunately never had like a studio, our own studio, and we still don't. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why wouldn't we have our own?
So renting spots, you mean, for rehearsals?
Yeah,
totally.
It doesn't make any. We're still learning, from that. But I would say, buy your own equipment. You can just play, put it on tape, or put it, put it down and just have it, so you can hear it, go through it, make it better.
Totally.
It's just makes sense. You can do it yourself now.
So So where you guys were kind of both at, and something you said last time when I was talking to you, I was like, man, I literally had zero direct. You're like, I feel you, man. Like I didn't want to be no shit either. I just want to skate.
Yeah.
And so it's like neither of you had like the goal to become like, I'm going to be a doctor or I'm going to be a fucking fireman or what. You guys didn't have your thing? Like,
I mean, my goal, like I said, was move to New York, and I literally had all my bags, and I had become pen pals with Timmy Chunks, who Token Entry.
Yeah.
And so I got dropped off with all my bags at a Token Entry at CBGB's. Never been there, all by myself with my luggage. Watched Token Entry play. They moved in with Timmy Chunks, and that was my life, the beginning of my life. I got Arthur Smelios got me a job at Concrete Marketing. We worked with telemarketing. Me and Arthur from GB. He got me my first job on 40th Street. We worked there. And so my goal is just do something with music. I love the New York hardcore scene. I fucking admired it so much. I wanted to be a part of it.
Because I just wanted to
that was my goal.
Illustrate that point to everybody listening that how you got from like,
Right.
I don't fucking know, to fucking, wow, whoa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Here I am, you know?
And it's funny that he said pen pal, because my pen pal was Todd Youth. And it was crazy because
Todd used to write letters to Todd.
Yeah, I used to write
pen
letters.
pal,
Yeah,
man.
I was like, yo, he was always super, super kind. And I mean, when Murphy's Law came through Cleveland, like we opened up for him, and
cool.
It was fantastic. And they just kept like that friendship.
Yep.
And I was just like, I'm moving to New York. And he's like, oh, that's awesome, bro. And it
There's
was
something
really cool.
magnetic about wanting to go to New York for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
Murphy's Law was your first out of town New York band you played with, you saying, or saw?
It was one of them. I
Yeah.
mean, then we're also friends with the guys from like Youth of Today
Yep.
and Gorilla Biscuits and Judge and all
Yeah,
that.
Murphy's
There
Law.
is something magnetic about New York, because as a kid
Yeah.
from here, when you talk to other kids, man, I wish I could go to New York. You
Yeah.
just talk about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, that's the best city in the world.
And so, yeah, I came from Maryland, which I wasn't from. I lived there for 4 years because my mom got a job there. So, but because they came from the South, they would call me like Toby the Little Hick. Like they'd all break my
What?
balls. I learned really fast, like the New York ball breaking from all my friends. That they took me under the wing. Like they can only break
Bust
they can only
balls.
break your balls. If somebody breaks your balls, they're getting rat packed. They can only make fun of you and tease
True.
you. But if somebody else, like, what the fuck, that's my boy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that
yeah.
New York tough love is some real shit,
Oh, yeah.
and that definitely made me. Not like a harder person, but it made me like more in reality
Give
from
you
where
a
I came
thicker
from.
skin.
A thicker skin.
That's how
moving
the
there.
world works.
And they all broke your balls, but they also took
They
you under
do.
the wing, and they were so proud. And then when the band came out, like everybody was so supportive. Murphy's Law
That's
took us
true.
on our first tour in '96. We all got tattoos. The Beer and Water tour.
Awesome.
And they took us on the first tour. Yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
that support is definitely in the scene. It's
They're family,
fantastic.
but it's a
Yeah.
dysfunctional, ball breaking, loving,
absolutely.
tough family. You know,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of ball breaking.
Yeah.
So this is where you guys are at.
Right.
And so 95, or actually 96.
Yep.
I started at 95. I meant 96.
It's all good because
90
my first show was '94, and we did some shows with Civ around the area. But '96, the album came out.
Okay, 96 is when the record came out.
Yes, sir.
So leading into that, this is where your headspace is. You're trying to do something with music. Then you get this deal with Blackout Records.
Yep.
How did that happen?
So right before that, we released a 2-song 7-inch. We made demos with Don Fury. Shout out to Don Fury.
Sick.
So
Oh,
then
Don.
we had a 4-song
Sick.
demo. We had like 100 copies of a 4-song demo. That sold really fast. And then we did a 2-song 7-inch with Equal Vision. My wife was on the cover, and it was a pop song. Well,
remember that
a song
7-inch.
called "I Know Why It's a Love Song," and then it was "Here Take On Them All," which you talked about. So people was like, "Oh shit, this dude's singing." But because I was shaved and tatted, hung out with these
Yeah.
dudes, they're like,
Yeah.
they didn't expect it to have any melody. But I grew up on 7 Seconds and melodic music, you know what I mean, and DC hardcore. Anyway, so '96. Yeah, we make that record with Bill Wilson. We record it like maybe a week and a half. All of our friends come down, do the interludes. Civ, Anthony Cominale, Stigma, Freddie, everybody, man. It was amazing. Armand, so much love and support. Dickie, and we made that record, yeah.
So the producer, I'm going to say his last name wrong.
Larry Buxbaum?
Yeah, Larry Buxbaum.
Rest in peace, who passed away a couple years
okay.
ago, man. He went on to do great things.
How did you find him? What was his deal? How did he guide you through that?
Todd Friend, my drummer, found him. Like he finds all
Really?
the people we work with. Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't
he
know
somehow knew about him. And
That's
and our
amazing.
studio was like right there by the Holland Tunnel. We're going to the tunnel. So yeah, he was great to work with. He might have done something with Outcrowd, my brother's band before me.
Okay.
That's maybe where he
So-
came in.
At that time, the artwork on your record and your guys' look was really impactful, and the way you were perceived, at least to kids on the West Coast, was really impactful, because you looked at you guys and you're like, fuck, that dude dresses a little bit like a greaser. Yeah. It's kind of like a cholo a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's hardcore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got that fade. You got the, you know what I mean? Everybody's got
Slick
their
back.
up,
Yeah,
pumped,
yeah.
you know? And maybe on the West Coast, Unbroken looked a little bit like that kind of, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like that was a very West Coast vibe, you know what I mean?
It was, right?
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
loved Dickies and Cortez.
Yeah.
I don't know, because Freddie, all of us, we all liked all those West Coast movies, and we love like something about Cali that we love, but we're also New York hardcore dudes, you know what I mean? We all had our canvas belts and our fucking Dickies, and yeah, man, we were very inspired by probably like a lot of those movies and the hip hop, and
Right.
because a lot of the punk rock bands weren't really dressing like that.
No.
It's not like Manic Hispanic, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it's full LA style.
Yeah.
But yeah, we love the West Coast hip hop, and yeah. So then we had the slick back here. We always had that like kind of soprano slick back with the fades. We all went to the
man,
same
that's
barber
what's
shop on St. Mark's.
That's what's up.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know, pomade and
And
I don't know.
And you guys, and obviously some of your friends and the bands around you kind of were part of the push that repopularized that style of like tattoo art, man. Like, because it was on the record
the traditional
cover.
yeah
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, dude, a lot of West Coast hardcore kids, not until like around that time, they all started getting blasted out with that style.
Wow.
You know what I mean? You know, and
the tattoo
obviously
flash.
your friends and, you know,
Of
OGs and
course.
people had it already. But like, that really pushed kids into kind of a direction.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, you had there was like H2O kids. You know what I mean? Like
that logo, John Reed did that. Shout out to John Reed. He did the first.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. We're at 96 with you. That record comes out. It's, at least in the underground, from my perception, was a really big deal. And it spread really fast. You start touring. That's like, is that, you had been touring, but not as a front man. Is that the pivot point? Did shit just fucking, you're like, whoop? Like,
yeah, once
you know,
we had Stormy as a booking agent too. Once we had a 7-inch, people heard the songs. They kind of get what the vibe was going to be. From the demo to the 7-inch, they realized it was going to be some. No, it's not going to be as heavy as the Friends bands I hung out with. You know what I mean? And once that record came out, we started touring a lot. People started like connecting to it. Other bands started noticing us. Dickie at Boston's had come seeing us at the Wetlands in a random lineup, and that following Monday he hit up Stormy and said, "Hey, Dickie was at your show. He loved your band. He loved to take you on tour." Then boom, Boston's all of a sudden take us on fucking tour, and that continues like the biggest relationship and the best dudes you could ever want to take on tour because they taught you how to, you know, be a professional touring band. You know, treat the venues, treat the opening bands. They were so respectful and they taught us so much. And they took us on every tour, even all the way up through to Let's Face It. When that was on MTV, they were still treating us exactly the same they did a couple years ago. They really taught us about respect and, you know, saying just everything about being a band, you know?
Yeah.
And so, Boston's, that kind of changed it for us because we opening for the Boston's, playing colleges, different things. And so from that moment on, we're like, you know what? We're a hardcore band. We don't want to only preach to the converted. We're open-minded to play with any fucking band that wants to take us out. So from that moment on, we toured every kind of band, you know?
And the live shows spoke volumes, and the record really speaks for itself because in a weird way, to me, and also like, I mean, you could even look at like Spotify numbers, man. Like your first record was really big. Then the following records got way bigger. But fast forward to now, I feel like that first record is bigger than those now.
It is crazy.
You know what I mean? Like it caught up and then it surpassed them. That record is classic,
It's wild, man. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some of the numbers I was told, I'm not going to say numbers, but when it first came out, it's pretty crazy for that time.
Right.
And then also then it went to Japan because then it's on Epic in Japan.
Yeah.
So that was
it was this. We got put in that same loop after that you guys kind of made or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, we're on.
So then
Epic
Japan would go to
too.
Japan. Japan's fucking crazy. Early like 97 or 8 went to Japan. It was crazy, man. So I did not expect it to be like that. I didn't know what to expect.
So
you know.
Wow.
You guys tour. I imagine you tour into 97, but Thicker Than Water came out in 97. How did you do that so fast? And in 97 simultaneously, this is you starting to jam with Sepultura, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how did you get that second record so fast with all that touring? Like, dude.
Well, the thing was, we never really toured to make the first album. We just had those songs. So we never even had the real experience of like going on tour and being a band and gelling with each other and all that stuff. And then I guess writing and making demos on tour, we started doing that. So then we prepared for that. We were sick of playing that record because we had played those songs a bunch. We started playing those songs like the first show 94, then through 95, then 96 it came out, then touring from 96, 97. So those songs had not old, but like we were ready for new shit. And so so we prepared ourselves and demoed, and then boom, did that record right from the road. And that one probably was a little bit longer than the first one, but yeah. So that was. Oh yeah, we got signed Epitaph in between.
Exactly. So that's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
How did you find Epitaph? Epitaph find you? Tim Armstrong had something to do with
Rancid.
that? Rancid. Yeah,
so playing that song, "My Love Is Real," we started jumping on not just Sick of It All shows or Biohazard shows or Crown of Thorns shows locally in New York. Then we met Rancid when they came through Wetlands, maybe on the first album or Let's Go. We became super tight, like the Sick of It All crew and Rancid became super tight. And then they invited us to come do My Love Is Real when they had this sold-out show with like a Veil and a bunch of bands. And we came on right after Veil. Nobody knew who the fuck we were. Lars introduced us. I have like a wife beater and like suspenders and Dickies and we come on. We do Tim Enson's on bass, Armand's on drums, Pete Sick of It on guitar. Just us four come up and we do My Love Is Real. It's the last recorded song on the first album. At the very end, it's a secret track. It's actually live from that.
That's cool.
And Lars go at the very end. Lars goes, new Epitaph recording artist, new record out next summer, and and that was never talked about. That was just something he said on stage. Like they really loved us and believed in us, but we were still in blackout. Like Bill Wilson was probably at that show,
right?
But they just loved us. It was like a joke. Like, but the crowd was like staring at us, like, what the fuck? Like we didn't pay for this. And long story short, we toured on that record, and then they got that album to Brett Gurewitz. That album came to him, and then he wanted to sign us. And so I remember we were going to fly out to LA, play a show. MCA wanted to sign us, Blackout wanted to keep us, and Brett wanted us. And so we played this showcase. It was a regular show, and they all came, and then we went to Epitaph during the day and hung out Brett and hung out the Rancid guys. And so we made the choice to leave and go.
So Blackout allowed you to break. Did you have a contract with them?
No, it was one record deal. One record.
One record deal.
Wow.
And then this dude Hans, this A&R guy from MCA, was friends with my brother, so he was there from the beginning too.
Right.
This is before we signed the MCA. He was there. Like, nah, we're not ready for that. We're gonna go to Epitaph.
And what was appealing to you about Epitaph that you felt?
Just Brett was so real, so honest, and I loved everything he'd put out.
I see.
And Rancid were our brothers, and they believed in us. And one funny thing was, like I told you, did I tell you? I don't know if you said about the Voodoo Ghost Skulls lowrider bikes. I said.
That they put in the contract.
They put in the contract because we saw those there, and so he was just a person of his word. And and like when me and my wife started coming out to Cali more after that, we'd stay at his house, and he was just like, he was awesome.
And he's the fucking dude from Bad Religion.
I know.
Right.
And I loved all the shit he did with Rancid. And I mean, Rusty told the story briefly, but when they were recording Out Come the Wolves at Electric Lady Studios on St. Mark's, Rancid told us to come by and play Brett our demo. This is early on.
Wow.
And he's in the middle of making this fucking epic masterpiece, one of my favorite records of all times. But to Rancid, like, yo, these are our homies, and we're just making an album. Come by and play these songs. So we went by, played the 4-song demos, and Brett's like, this is pretty cool. He goes, I think you guys need to work on a little bit stuff. They gave us good constructive criticism.
Right.
So then we made that album. He didn't even know about it. Then when he heard that, I was like, holy shit, this is what I was looking for. You know what I mean? But to have Rancid come, have us invite us while they're making Out Come the Wolves was just the next album for them, which was going to change the world.
Right.
They didn't know that. They would have said, these are my homies. That was such an amazing moment. And Brett gave us his honest opinion, and then we kept it moving. And we came back to them later,
That's cool.
So, yeah. So shout out to Brett, shout out to Rancid, Epitaph. Some really great times being on that label.
So Thicker Than Water comes out, and kaboom, Epitaph.
Yeah, it's a different audience. It's a different audience. Yeah, because we had grown really fast on the first album, touring a lot, getting our name out there, and really grinding, like 6 or 8 to 9 week tours, come home for like 2 days, go back out, and we really started going.
You felt a jump.
Yeah, and then we go to Epitaph, and that's just like it's a built-in, almost different audience when you have Epitaph. Because like people just buy all Fat Records or all Epitaph. They love the catalog and they check out everything. So it's because if Brett's signing it, it must be dope because he has such a good roster. So we were like the first East Coast band to sign to that label.
Trusted.
And I don't want to take that back.
That was a different era when labels you would look at a label and you could count on a label. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. True.
I want to take that back. We were the first New York band because Down by Law had already been signed and they were from East Coast. So I have to correct myself on that.
So while all this is going on and he's blowing up, are you still fully aware of what's going on with Toby?
Because I left my job.
He was out.
I was out of here.
He was gone. I was like, oh shit.
That's what I want to do.
I mean, he's definitely gone and doing a lot, and there were a lot of bands like Civ were going out, and I was like, shit, like all my homies are like
the Warped Tour 95.
Yeah, Warped Tour is huge. It was huge. Yeah. It was like such a exciting time, and I was like, fuck, I just got to keep pushing at it. I mean, there was, I remember that we did one show with this before like that whole Civ thing happened. It was like Overfiend was the name of the band.
I remember Overfiend.
Overfiend.
Yeah.
We played like one show. And we opened up for Sick of It All, I think. And it was in maybe Staten Island. And I
super random.
Super random.
What? I've never even heard of a show in Staten Island.
It was like
Shaolin.
I think Shift also played that.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's a time frame.
And yeah, that was crazy. So
wow.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, let's just keep pushing this. I don't know where it's gonna go. Well, I just want to play. I'm just happy, just jamming.
Absolutely. Yeah. But that leads into the next chapter of your story because you're rolling. 98.
I'm on tour,
You're all over the place. And then 98 is the year that Against came out. And leading into that, he's gone.
Yeah.
And leading into that.
Oh, and at the same time, Rory Mayorga was trying out for Soulfly.
Oh my God!
And we all were in the same scene. Like I would see Roy all the time at Coney Island High working there, and I was working at a few different bars and Fat Farm. But Fat Farm came to an end because that's a long story. But
yeah. But did you quit that for music, or you quit before music?
No, I got fired because I got fired because I ended up moving from the store to the office, and when I was in the office, I was discovered that there were people that were buying shit on the company card.
Oh, snap.
Like for their house and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yo, I didn't know you guys could buy your own. They're like, they're just like, you can't. And I also, I was just, it was really, they were criminals. Criminals.
Yeah.
Criminals.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so anyway, these motherfuckers, they got me fired. And then they got fired a month later.
Wow.
They got you fired.
Yeah. They were like, oh yeah, he's.
Yeah, because there was a whole bunch of people doing it, not just one person.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
And they were like, and so then they got fired like a month later. But I mean, it was good. I mean, I had been there long enough, and it was boring for me. It was like something I wasn't really into. It was interesting meeting a lot of different people and stuff, and seeing how that whole world is what's going on. But then it forced me to really push up the music game.
Kind of meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Mike Gitter, he was the A&R person. Yes. He just
shout out to Gitter.
What's up, Gitter?
I was actually going to ask you about your relationship with Gitter because I know he worked with you guys. He A&R for you. Like
he was the A&R person, so he was the person that approached me first because I'd always see him at shows. He knew about my other band from Cleveland, Outface. He wrote for a bunch of different magazines. He really had his ear to the street of like going out and checking out bands, coming up. And so he felt that they needed a singer. They were doing an audition. They needed a singer. They were looking for a singer. They had one song with no vocals, and they're like, that person can do whatever vocals they want on it, and we'll check it out. So all these people around the world were doing that, and Gitter was like, oh, you should do it, man. They need somebody completely different, because nobody's going to believe it if they get somebody that looks or tries to sound like the other singer. So he had in his mind, like, just do it, do the demo, and I did it. And then I heard back from them like a month later, like, yo, come to Brazil and let's do an audition. That was like 97.
It's crazy.
It was crazy, yeah. And I was working at this place called Lakeside Lounge on Avenue B, right by Tompkins Square Park. And I also worked at, I think I was just working there, or maybe Babyland as well.
I remember Babyland, yeah.
And in Beauty Bar.
That's how my wife worked. She worked with my wife at Beauty Bar.
Yeah, at Beauty Bar.
Were you a fan of Sepultura?
So I had
Efrem.
It's a great question.
What's hilarious is like a really like great friend of mine. His name is Max, and he introduced me to the band.
Nice.
It's a weird thing, He was like, "Yo, check out this tape. It's a Rise." And I was like,
no way. So
who gave that to you? Max gave it to you? Max?
No, a friend of mine, Max. That's what made it kind of funny. I was like,
no, shit.
This is a weird universe we're in.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I'm not really.
How many years before that?
Before I got in the band? Probably 2.
Okay.
3 years. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I really like it. And then when KFCD came out, I was like, yo, this is fucking... step into the hardcore direction.
And that was that tour with Ministry, right?
Yes, in Helmet.
I remember that. Oh, yes, in Helmet.
Right,
Ooh.
yeah. Ooh. And it was really like, fuck. It was, and then I knew, like, Charlie had been on tour with Civ, and that's when when he was on tour with Civ, the Roots album had come out. Mm-hmm. So he got to see, like, them play a show with, like, Rage Against the Machine, Sepultura. Civ was on the same festival.
I might have seen that, yeah.
And he was telling me, he's like, yo... He was like, it was just a sea of like yellow shirts I could see out there, like because they were selling the soccer jersey with like Brazil colors.
I remember
that. I still have that jersey.
Right.
Actually, it's all wrecked.
Yeah. And so he's like, yo, they're on a whole nother level. It's like crazy drums and sounds and everything. They're like, it's so cool. And then I started getting into it, but I wasn't fanatical Sepultura fan, like from Beneath the Remains time or Schizophrenia, any of that. Like I didn't know about. I had to get into that once I got into the band.
Roots. I was aware of the band. I was into the band, but Roots got me more into the older stuff.
Interesting.
It just drew me in so hard that made me go, what makes these guys tick?
Right.
These guys are incredible musicians. I actually went with a local band that's like, oh, we got a gig at the college radio station. We get to play at the college. So I go with my buddy's band there. And me and my friend Jason were in the control room, and we're all, there's that new Sepultura, dude.
Damn.
We stole it, and then we bounced, and we fucking were just like, what the fuck is this? Oh my God, this is the greatest heavy recording of all time.
Yeah. I got to tell you something that's really amazing, because I was like, oh, Roots is great. I really love Arise because it's the first one I discovered.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating, like once being in the band and many years later, just discovering that there's certain people are just like, I hate that album, or they hate certain albums. Like, wow, like hateful.
Strong word.
That was the end. No, they're like
dude.
They get enraged. Like, oh, that fucking album sucked. It just killed everything.
Like, I don't hate any album.
And I'm like, wow. I was like, all right, man, I get it. I understand. It's like, just relax. I didn't realize that there was so many people that they're in love with certain albums for certain reasons, like committed. But I just never imagined that. But anyway, I ended up doing the audition, going to Brazil, never been to Brazil, and meeting those guys.
Wow.
And coming back from the audition, I realized, like, I really want to go back, and I would love to be able to work with these guys. And so then I got a call probably a month after that audition, and they were like, "Yo, come back."
Dude, a month. That's a long time to wait.
Yeah,
it was a long time. I was already back, like at the door, like, "Let me see your ID."
But did you care? Were you tripping on it? Did you just try it out? Was it a big deal for you?
It was a big deal because I'd never been to South America.
Yeah,
and I didn't know any of those people. I was like, "Fuck it, you know what? I'm just gonna go and do the audition, and if it just be myself."
Yeah,
like, this is what I like. This is the style of music I like. Blah blah blah. And once we started to open up with each other, because they had a thing going on for a really long time.
Like how many years? 20 years before?
Yeah. I mean, it was, I think, less than that, but
80.
Let's see, 83.
That's probably 83. Yeah.
Wow, man.
So yeah, they had, and there was brothers involved. So it was like really, they had like a strong connection. So
totally,
it was like to step into that.
Bring up.
Okay.
Because, and also one thing before I preface it with this, you also joined the band at a pivotal time musically, because
absolutely.
Even if they had kept the same lineup, everybody's like, what the fuck are they going to do after Roots? It has to be a new expression. It has to be brand fucking new.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I feel like that Ton of Bricks would have been on them with the previous lineup as well. Obviously add some more bricks to you,
right.
Yeah.
But, so also, that was a pivotal time for heavy music, period, because, and especially hardcore, because after that record and Chaos AD, every hardcore band went dun 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 dun, gunk 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 gunk, yeah. And then my homie's like, "Hey, let's go see this band Tool," and I'm like, "I don't get it, man, but that sounds like Sepultura." You know what I mean?
Wow.
That sound. That's every. Out of the 90s and the 2000s hardcore, everyone.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're
it's
Hatebreed or Converge or Death
Snapcase had that vibe.
I love how certain bands influence each other. I think that's something that's so cool about music.
And they did it their own way. Like
right.
But in my head, I feel like somehow roundabout, Seps could have got that from hardcore anyways. Who knows?
There are elements that I know absolutely that they were influenced, throughout the whole career. I mean, especially, Roots was pivotal because, you can hear that it was definitely influenced by Korn.
Oh, yeah.
And so the first Korn album, the tuning down to drop D, that whole sound, like, dum, 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 like really, really heavy. And it's hard, and then and Jonathan Davis was hanging out. With those guys, or at least with Max, and the same producer. So you can hear, and he has a guest spot on the album. It's like you can hear the influence there,
That's really
but
cool.
It's still the whole aspect of with Roots, though, it's like really embracing those Brazilian roots, and so that's when you're saying doing it their own way, and that's what's really always been a factor in keeping the band alive.
I'd imagine. Walking into the situation you walked into, having to create a new sound for the band, but learn 500 fucking songs.
Jesus
Dude,
Christ.
what? So that to me would just be this. I had time when I joined Voodoo. I toured for fucking 3 years, dude. You know what I mean? You're just in a storm of fucking words. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you're right. I mean, especially with the older stuff, was like, okay, Beneath the Remains are like, all right, we're gonna play like,
oh, it's so fast,
super fast,
all the live shit,
a lot of words. It's like almost just like Middle of Earth.
And you hadn't sang hardcore since Outface,
right? It was like more melodical, and so I had to go to a vocal coach. In order to keep my voice. I'd never been on a tour that long.
Yeah, lose your voice.
You know, it was like losing my voice was like an aspect. There was like a whole whirlwind of like, okay, you gotta, get prepared to do this because we're gonna be on the road all the time.
You got to learn how to sustain that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I had never done that with those guys or
it's tough,
that
bro.
style.
It's a fight. You know, it's a fight.
And definitely, working with my style of voice, consistently for each show, it was really a learning process, but it was terrifying. But the thing that made it less terrifying, I didn't realize how big it was before I got in it, because
that's good.
The internet, it's great because the internet wasn't booming at that time. There was. I didn't have any. I didn't even have a computer, so it was like I didn't know. It was just like
booming yet.
It only happened like arriving at a place and them telling me like, yo, this is going to be off the hook, or this is going to be cool.
Wow.
I like that you didn't know. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's pressure.
Yeah.
That's pressure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have three separate tour connections that before him.
That's right.
So the first real tour that Sick of It All did that wasn't a hardcore tour was I was on New Titans on the tour. It was Sick of It All separate tour.
You were on the New Titans tour?
We shared a bus with Napalm Death. So it was Sick of It All. It was Sick of It All and Napalm Death on one bus, and then it was Sacred Reich separate tour. And so that was the first. I still have all the. I have a tour journal. He read. I have a tour journal. I have all the laminates, everything.
You should make a zine out of
that.
It's
amazing. No. It's
amazing.
So
that was my first time meeting those dudes. Became great friends. I'm still close to Barney for over 25 years. That's my brother.
Wow.
Napalm. He's gonna be on the podcast someday. We tried last year.
So cool, man.
He's like a total positive. He was vegetarian, fucking whatever. And so that was the tour. But we know the fuck. I knew nothing about this music.
That tour, we almost crossed paths before even meeting in New York, because I was still living in Cleveland. That tour came to town, and I was like, I think I'm going to go to the show. And then it was like, no, Quicksand came and played.
Same
day, across the street from.
Wow.
What?
And I never met Toby. I never met Sepultura. And I was like, I'm going to go see Quicksand.
Oh,
wow.
Dang.
And see Walter, because I was friends with Walter.
Yeah. So I would say not since the Cro-Mags did the Motorhead tour. This was the second New York hardcore band that played with like a metal kind of tour.
Yeah. It was a big deal back then. It was like, it was huge. It was like, yo, this lineup
thousands
is
of people.
Sick.
And so it was like a hardcore band playing with a bunch.
Never happened.
Like I saw Sick of It All become Sick of It All on that tour to where like they played to a different audience and they won them over every night.
Yeah,
These kids were like, they weren't really checking for it, but then once they played.
Right.
How can you deny an anvil just flying into your forehead? Boom.
No,
it's undeniable.
Like,
Sick of It All was just so sick.
We were the only guys with short hair on that tour.
Yeah.
So like, it was a great experience. Lifelong relationships with separate tour as well, and still with those bands.
I got to imagine sonically being in that room at that time and being a Hesher, right? And going to this, what you think is a metal show, where at the time, dude, not every metal band had bass that really cut through, and then Craig walks out. Like all these kids are like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Each band at the peak of like the just
that was pre-Craig.
Pre-Craig.
Oh, that's right, dude.
It was EK and Eddie Cohen.
It was EK,
and
that's right, Eddie Cohen. That's
he was playing the, was he playing that Rickenbacker?
Who, Eddie?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Because it was just always the...
Eddie was from Cycle Sluts from Hell. He was from Leeway for a second.
He played in so many
Cro-Mags for a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a great tour, man. That was 91.
Okay, back to the timeline. So 98, leading into that record, right?
Yeah.
Now, did you guys as a team find that direction? Did they have a plan already? Why did you choose Howard Benson? Because that's a real interesting choice to follow up the heaviest record ever with I'm going to make a heavier record, but Howard Benson, who's dope, but like
it was really complicated because we had to produce an album on a label that didn't really want us.
I'm going to take a piss. I'll be right back.
All right.
So We had to
wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
So when I joined,
so
there was like, okay, like you're in the band. I was like, yeah. I mean, it wasn't like that. They were like, yo, you want to come back to Brazil? I was like, hell yeah. And so then after, doing the demos and doing everything, they had a lot of the album written before I got there. So there were just, I had to write lyrics together with them and some other parts, and but most of it was written before I got in the band. So the label were just not stoked on me at all. Half of the people at the label, if not, I don't know the percentage wise, but it felt like it was definitely like half, if not a little bit more. And so we were already locked into a 2 more album deal. So Against they were like the original A&R person for Sepultura, Monty Connor. He was the one that was really just like, I don't feel this guy at all. I don't like him in the band.
What?
Yeah, and so, it was just a lot of like, I just not having that support was felt by us from them, and it was just like, why even do this? Like, why are you even a part of this when we're not even seeing on the same page, even though the band get to decide who they want to have in the band.
Yeah.
I think for them, they wanted the easiest way. They wanted somebody to look like the original singer. They wanted somebody that sounded like them to go into creating the same thing that was creating success for them at that moment.
But
that
it would
Roots
be so
album.
disingenuous.
I know, but they didn't care about that. I mean, for them, they just wanted to do something that seemed logical to them. Like, well, this album's selling the best of all of them, so let's try to create the same thing again.
Let's milk this
keep
sound.
this fucking going on, which is will kill any band, I believe. So anyway, didn't listen to them. They were. So it was like a weird.
To them.
So that's Against. It came. It was like, yeah, Against. You
that's
guys are,
what that title.
Right. It's like all these motherfuckers against us. All these people taking sides and all this shit. Like we're really like fired up or like, okay. So the only person that was like gonna fuck with us at the time was, because you have to realize the management from Sepultura left with Max.
That's right.
Right. So they didn't, it was just like kind of like, where do we go from here? That management was doing everything for the band previously. So starting fresh, reset. A lot of people were like, yeah, you should change this and this. We're like, no, this is what it is. You want to work with this, then that's fine. Todd Singerman, he was the manager for Motorhead, and he was the only one that was just like, yo, I will work with you guys.
Todd's the best.
He's the best. And he was like, whatever you guys want to do, I'm with you. Let's do this. And so we worked with Todd, and that helped a lot tremendously. And just really, that was the start. It was like really, we ended up going with Howard Benson because Howard had worked with Motorhead previously.
Okay. And with Zebrahead.
And Zebrahead
who
at the same time.
The same management.
The same time of recording. Zebrahead were hanging out in the studio while we were recording.
They did backups on your record, right? Yeah, because I remember Ed was all excited.
Yeah.
Dude, we sang all those songs. Like, what the
fuck? It was so funny, man. They were great guys. Howard was fantastic. We recorded part of the album in LA and part of it in Brazil and part of it in Japan.
What?
Yeah, because we had this idea of like working with these guys.
Oh, with those drummers.
Kodo drummers.
Yes.
And so they had to fly to like Sadu Island and record a song with them. It's like then like labels are just like, yeah, we got, here's some money that you got to pay back. And, like you got to pay back. Yeah, and then, exactly. But here it is, and it's just like unrecoupable because it's just such a ridiculous amount of money.
Worth it.
Yeah. I mean,
worth it for the art.
I mean, at the time, I was like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
And, but now thinking, I was like, I would never take that much money from them. Because
I could just draw on those drums in Pro Tools. Bang, bang, bang,
well,
bang.
Pro Tools just started then. That's how long ago.
Right.
It hadn't even, it just started. So Howard was the guy that we went with, and he was great, man. He was like flexible, flying to Brazil, coming to LA, but we're in different studios. It was really confusing trying to put everything together. But we just were fighting against all these different elements that are coming around us, but let's keep doing it.
Now, and apparently Howard knows how to make a fucking heavy record, dude.
Yeah, we did a Hazen Street record with him too.
I know.
He's awesome.
Okay,
we'll get to that later.
I'm going to bring that up.
Okay. Clash.
So, so that's 98.
Yep. That's 98.
Okay, so then you're touring the world. You're fucking
it's just
going
like
crazy.
a whole like thing. Like, okay, let's do a whole promo tour where you do like just talk and radio and everything. You split up the world and do that.
I remember when bands still did those.
Yeah.
You go somewhere to talk.
Right. Just talk. Yeah. The whole tour.
They're called podcasts now.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah. So
Press talk.
Yeah, we did that in touring, just nonstop.
So you're touring. At this time, you're aware of what's going on with him, and you're working on FTTW, Faster Than the World.
Correct.
Which was released in '99, which was produced by Brett Gurewitz.
Yes.
How did you guys switch to working with Brett from Larry?
Because Larry got busy doing other things, bigger and better than H2O. He moved on. No, he started doing his shit, and and we loved Out Come the Wolves. I just loved Brett Gurewitz producing and everything about him, his sounds, his melodies, everything.
Yeah.
And so we saw that Rancid. We went and hung out at Rancid while they recorded at Coyote Studios in Dumbo, Brooklyn. I think they did Life Won't Wait there, maybe. And so we loved that. He was in New York doing it. He said, yo, we'd love to have you do our record there. And he said, no doubt. We did it in the middle of the winter. It was fucking brutal. And it was so fun. I'll never forget doing Guilty by Association and Freddie Madball pulling up with all the dudes with 40 ounces. and it was just this fucking party vibe. And Brett's like, oh shit. Like, he knew it, these guys. Because later on, we would make the connection. And that's how Madball got signed for Hold It Down. But can
I pause you for 1 second? Yeah. I forget where we were somewhere, dude. And you looked at me and you're, you want to sing Freddie's part? I was like, fuck yeah. And dude, I don't know why my brain just kept blanking out. And so I was just kind of like faded out into the back. And then I remember you looked at me and you looked at me weird. And I was just all kind of like, my brain was blanking. And then you're like, hey man, I think you could just tell I looked all weird. And you're like, you're uncomfortable, man. It's chill. And I was like, oh yeah, fade out.
Okay. I'm going to go on record saying, if you want to you learn it from May 29th, Arizona, you busted.
There you go.
Done.
Oh, shit.
Thank you. Yeah. Redemption.
Yes.
Redemption.
You can redeem yourself.
Yeah, so sorry, Freddie. I
better
forgot
study
the words,
them lyrics,
man.
son.
So Brett Gurewitz, so that was an amazing experience. Doing those songs, having Brett there, being part of the whole like New York vibe and Dead of the Winter, and he was it was great, man. I'm proud of that record.
Fuck yeah. Okay. So that's coming out. You guys are full speed ahead.
Full speed ahead. Been touring nonstop in between all the records. We never really stopped touring for those years straight, and then recorded the record Brett, and probably went on the road right after that as well. That was the longest we took to do a record. Maybe like 2 weeks.
What were some of the bands after you signed with them that you were playing with? Like, did the caliber of the bands change? Were there like bigger bands or smaller band? Were you able to take other bands on the road with you? What was going on with that?
Yeah, like we have a song on the record called Bootstraps. It's about pulling each other bands up by bootstraps. So yeah, we started taking out Kill Your Idols. Just a bunch of bands we loved in New York. Fahrenheit 451. I love Kill Your Idols
so much.
Kill Your Idols, Fahrenheit 451. And then going on tour like, I don't know, start going to tour like Newfound Glory or like the Bosstones or the Misfits 96 tour. No. Misfits 99 or 98-99 tour. Sick of It All, H2O Misfits tour. That was incredible. Wow. My wife got arrested for fighting Nazis. She got put in jail for the night. Yeah, in the Midwest. Crazy story. And
we're right here, bro. I mean, I don't know if you can tell it, but
yeah. I mean, there was a fight during our show, and it kind of bled out into the merch area. Moon jumped on the dude's back, tried to break it up. Cops came, arrested my wife, and we had to bail her out that night for $500.
Wow!
On the Misfits tour, that was a great fucking tour. Great crowds, super fun.
You noticed a big jump. You guys are doing Warped Tour. You guys are
rewind. So the Warped Tours, first time we do the Warped Tour, we do it in a van. Then we realize you can't do it in a van; it's brutal. Right. And then we do it in Winnebago. Then we do it in another Winnebago. It breaks down. Then we all become hobos, and I'm on the bus with Rancid. My brothers with NoFX. Somebody's with the Specials, and then the next one we split a bus with 7 Seconds. That was amazing. That was a dream.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. So then we just start doing all these tours, and we're just nonstop playing with anybody and like opening up. And trying, we love the thing of we're a hardcore band from New York, but we're opening up for this pop punk band, and we're going to win this crowd over. We love the challenge of it. You could always play to your own crowd.
Yeah. And I'm going to get to this later with your covers record, but dude, your influences really shine through with that. You guys are a hardcore band, dude, and you can hear it through and through. But to me, it's like Dag Nasty to me, man.
Thank you. Yeah, we love Dag Nasty.
You know what I mean? And some people,
the nasty.
Some people get it twisted, man. This is hardcore.
Yeah,
it's straight up. You know what I mean? You guys are playing fucking fast.
Oh, we've been called pop punk before. I don't care what people call us. I feel like H2O, we take from everything. We're inspired by all things, not just hardcore.
And so at this point, your guys' timeline's kind of locked together. You guys are both every direction. Go.
Yeah.
Now
definitely working.
Now the same question you asked Toby, I'm going to ask you. By this time, you've got to be playing or have played by this time with so many fucking bands where you were like, what the fuck? I mean, where did it go for you? Who did you start playing with? What was the bigger? What is the big tour that you jumped right into? You know what I mean? Like after that record came out.
I think the biggest thing that we hopped right into was this Tattoo the Earth tour.
I remember that tour, yeah.
Which I saw you at.
Yeah.
And so who was the headliner was Slipknot. And I didn't know who they were at the time. I was like, who is this band? I was like, why the fuck is Slayer opening for, you know? Because, I mean, to me, I was just like, Slayer. Pinnacle of like heaviest, craziest, the best. And people was like, no, son, you can't slip on Slipknot. It's
real
young people. Fuck. Yeah, it was like young people. I mean, it was a different generation. Not that far from our own, but it was enough where I was like, I was like, what's up with them? And it was insane. Like they had their own crowd. I mean, it was going off, and it was like really cool to see. You know, like getting like this whole new scene of people. So it was Slayer, Seven Dust, Mudvayne, who I saw just reunited, I guess. A lot of bands I honestly didn't really know too much about. Only Slayer and Hatebreed were on that tour as well.
Nice, I remember that.
But the other bands I didn't know anything that much about. But I was just like, I just want to do this tour, and I love like these tattoo artists and this group of people and everything. And that was like the big tour that we did for the U.S. that was in complete total confusion. Because they didn't really do their homework as far as which places, which states you're able to tattoo and have it set up where you'd be tattooing in the sun.
They just thought they could just do it.
Right. I mean, there was a lot of things that weren't really thought out because it was the first time doing it. And I was like, this shit is really disorganized. But it was an experience.
Mm-hmm.
But then right after that, I remember it was let's do this tour. It's going to happen in Europe, but it's going to be Sepultura, Slayer, Pantera, Biohazard.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I was like, yeah! I was like, fuck, yes!
Oh, I remember that sample. There was like a sampler CD they gave out for free. I remember. I got that.
Like, this shit is going off.
Machine Head was on part of that.
They might have been.
Yeah, I mean, a leg of it or something.
So it was like, this is gonna happen. I was so fired up, and I just remember packing my bags and just like, this is gonna be ill.
What?
And then 9/11.
Wow.
And then right after that, everyone, like a lot of the bands were like, we're not flying.
I remember that. I remember that.
And I was so bummed.
Wow. Sampler tapes. I want to say how important those sampler tapes were back then in the Warped Tour and the sampler CDs and all that. All those compilations. So many kids would hit you up and say, I heard about you guys on this sampler tape. You didn't think it meant anything, but kids really took that and fucking listened to it. It was amazing, man.
So, 2001 is when you guys lock up, okay? Because you had Nation come out and you had Go come out at the same time. And Nation went in an even different direction. So dope. And we were listening to Against a lot, and then into Nation, like that Nation just hit us so hard. Our band, I remember, it shook us, dude. And you did that with Steve Evans, which I thought was a cool choice, and you had a cool art direction. And I always looked at Sepultura as kind of like an artist's band because they were always really conscious of how people were going to interpret them visually, whether it was through videos, media, how it was perceived was very important. Right. So you guys took it in this bold direction, and you were kind of ahead of the curve on the whole Shepard Fairey thing too, man.
Right.
You know, so you know what I mean? Yeah. And then the guitar with the Shepard Fairey art, I remember being like, what? He's got what? This band just got even better. Like, you know?
Yeah.
So Steve Evans, what led you to him, and
hardcore,
what led you in that art direction?
Hardcore.
Yes,
it's always hardcore. It comes back.
Is that the guy who lives here still? That guy?
He's here now.
Yeah.
Steve is
Snapcase.
Amazing.
Oh, that's right.
And that's
right.
The connection.
Okay.
The connection was the fact that we were fans of Snapcase. Igor is a fan of hardcore as well.
Yes, he is.
He knows the Snapcase guys.
He
went
knows
on
his
tour
shit.
with them. He knows his shit. that's why we really clicked when I first joined the band. One of the first things we did was like a Bad Brains cover, and it was just like clicked.
Oh, on that comp.
Like, and we do a comp
with
Century
Media.
Yeah, I can't remember who put it out.
I just remember, yeah.
But that was something that happened in rehearsal, which really made it comfortable. Because it's like, oh, let's do a Bad Brains cover. It's like, you guys know, you guys like Bad Brains? And it was like, all right, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Again,
cool.
Hardcore, again, like coming through.
It's cool.
But it was like Snapcase, we were big fans. Hatebreed was another reason why we wanted to, we brought them out on tour because we loved hardcore.
Yeah.
You know, and so he was like, yo, this guy Steve Evans, I really loved the Snapcase album. I can't remember which one it was that Evans worked on, but
it wasn't Looking Glass Self. It was the Victory one, like the big one, I think.
Yeah.
The Process of Unlearning. No, is that the name of it? It's the wrong name. My bad.
Which record?
Snapcase.
Oh, it's
what is the process?
Satisfaction is the Death of Desire. No,
that's fucking Hatebreed.
Oh, that's Hatebreed. Yeah.
So it's a process of process of learning. Is that Snapcase? Am I saying that right?
Oh, it's the. I know what you're talking about.
Just like the Rappaport podcast, we don't fact check.
Yeah,
exactly.
Our brother Rap.
But so Evans was like, yo, I'll come to Brazil and let's do some radical shit. You know, like I'm open to do it.
That was tracked in Brazil.
Yeah.
And
it
Brazil.
It was
what?
all in Brazil. It was in Rio de Janeiro. Wow. And it was like in the night we would work. In the day it was just like work out, go to the beach, hang out, acai. And then at like 6, it was like, all right, let's start working until like 4 a.m.
6 p.m. you start?
Yeah.
Let me ask you.
What hood is this?
For like 2 months we spent recording it.
Wow.
It was totally ludicrous.
By this time,
like, just living life. Like, yeah, you know what? Like, at the end of the day, we'd be like, what do you think we should do for this bar? You know, like, let's try something crazy, you know, like, let's not hold back.
Now,
yeah, it was
by this time, how much of a grasp of the language did you have?
Not that great then, because we've been
dynamics kind of a trip.
Because we've been touring so much,
Yeah.
and I wasn't living there yet. I only started once we started the Nation album.
Okay.
And so that was like 2000. I moved to Brazil.
Wow.
But I was still, I had a hard time grasping it. I had to get my head around living in Brazil and being recognized. Because when I first went to Brazil for the audition, nobody knew who I was or I was in the band. But once I got in the band, started doing shows and people saw and knew, living there was a different situation because everyone knows the band there. Doesn't matter how old or young, even if you don't have to know a song. They just know, like, oh, Sepultura. So that was a little bit weird to get my head around living there and then working on the album. And it was fun to work on because it was I got to work from the very beginning phases of like, okay, let's create an album. Like, you got any ideas? You got any? So I picked up my guitar and I had my 4-track still, and I was like, you know, how about this song? You know, I can play on some songs. And
you would do that live.
I would do it live. I was like,
guitar,
I was like, because I was like, I'm not a guitar player. You know, I did it out of necessity when of writing Alpha Jerk stuff and just wanting to play music. But I had ideas and everything, and I just felt that at the end, I stopped playing because I really wanted to focus on vocals, you know.
And it sounded to me like you guys really adjusted for that live because your bass sound got bigger and bigger, like distortion where there's not on the record.
Yeah.
So you guys really like acclimated to it.
They had to acclimate. Yeah, definitely like that dynamics changed, you know.
And I feel like on the Nation record, it's where it brought you more close to the realm and of commonality with Toby, because that's where you kind of you did on Against, but in Nation you really let everybody know, like, hey, motherfucker, I could sing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can be melodic too.
Right.
So I feel like you guys had a much more fluid kind of balance with that. How much did Steve Evans had to do with that, and how much of that was just you?
I think it just happened naturally because those guys stated from the very beginning, the main reason I wanted to join the band was because they wanted somebody to be able to change in the future, being able to not only one direction. Like they didn't want just a screamer. Like they had somebody that did auditions before. It was just like he could scream really well, but they couldn't really go any further with that. You know, in the future, there wasn't. It was limiting. You know, they wanted somebody that was like could do many different things.
Right.
And so the direction of the band can go in many different ways. So they were really aware of that, and they were pushing like, yo, you can do melodical stuff. I mean, we know that you can. If you think of anything, just do it.
I love that.
But you had never done melodic stuff before that.
Only in Outface.
Okay.
Wow.
And that's what they heard me do. Like when I gave them demos and stuff I'd done, I was like, why did they pick me? Because it's nothing like what they're doing.
That's really cool.
But they figure like, oh, maybe, in the future you want to play a different song style or whatever. And so that helped a lot. I mean, them being so open to like, do whatever you feel, man. Like this.
So you're making this record and you're
experimenting a lot, like, getting used to them still. Because it's the first time all of us are writing in the writing process.
Right.
So it was a whole new world for us. So we're like, let's try this song. We had like 20-something songs. We had like guests, Jello Biafra sang on one song, wrote a song.
Yeah.
Didn't
he help write Biotech is Godzilla?
Yes.
Okay.
He wrote the lyrics to that. And
that's sick.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day, man.
So, okay, now at this point, it's where we all kind of have this common thread. Like, you're writing for a band, you replaced a brother, I replaced a brother. You're in a band with your brother. We have this trippy like thread with all of us, man. It's super weird.
Yeah.
And that had to be a lot of pressure for you too, because you're getting haters, you're getting people that are encouraging you to be yourself and in your band, so that had to add kind of a...
But like I said, the internet
dynamic.
and things like that, I wasn't.
So you weren't hearing it 24 hours a day.
It was just
now.
It was like I would hear or read something and be like, like it would be gone, in a magazine or a zine, and be like, oh, that's a review from that guy. That guy's an idiot anyway. Or it was just that was it. And I would only see like the shows. Like I was like, holy shit, that was the only thing I could be focused on. I was like, we're playing a live show right now. Get your head in the game. Like, what do you want to sing about in the studio? It's all about that moment. You're not thinking about what is this person I don't know saying about me. That has no all that negativity or anything. You're only around people that are very positive. Everybody in the band, producers, the studio, everything's clicking in, and you just go with that energy. That's
absolutely
real.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so okay, then at the same time you release Go, and you did that with Matt Wallace, and that was, I think, Lyman was your manager at the time, Kevin Lyman. Like, things were like in a much bigger realm for you.
Yeah, we had been through some managers. We had been through some. We got Lyman after that record.
Okay.
To rewind a little bit, like there was some of us in the band that were nervous about leaving Epitaph and didn't want to.
Why did it come about leaving Epitaph?
Well, because some of the guys in the band they wanted to. We saw like our Newfound Glory and Blink were on MCA. Hans was still there. So this same dude who had a relationship with my brother in Outcrowd followed our career from the demo to the 7-inch to Blackout to Epitaph. He was there for that kind of bidding thing we had, and he stayed in the back. He chilled because he loved the band, just wanted us to have some sort of success because he loved the band. So he comes back when he's still in the mix. So I think my brother reaches out to him. Not on the DL, but it's like, hey, it's like, I want to make a move with this band. Are you still interested? I see you have Blink, now you have Newfound Glory. You didn't have them back then. You're working with some sort of melodic kind of punk bands. Would you be interested in us? And he's like, absolutely. So my brother came to us and said, hey, what do you guys think about trying to just, going to MCA and trying something different now, I was completely happy there. We were happy there. But at that point, we weren't the only East Coast band. There was a bunch of bands, which was fine. And we were touring with all these bands, doing the Warped Tours, doing all this stuff. But H2O was always a band who loved U2, loved Madonna, loved Bob Marley, loved The Replacements, loved REM, loved all diverse music, hip-hop, loved everything that wasn't just punk. And so you may not hear it in some of H2O's records, but a lot of our melodies and some vocal patterns were inspired by U2 or I don't know.
It's awesome.
Other bands, you know what I mean? So Todd Friend loved Faith No More. Matt Wallace had done Faith No More. He'd done Replacements. Wow. Okay. Todd Friend once again said, Todd Friend is like, this is my guy. I want to do Matt Wallace. And we heard great things about Matt Wallace.
Which Faith No More record did he do?
I'm not sure.
King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime?
I'm not sure. He had for me, 2001, my wife's like, yo, we're leaving New York. Whether you're coming or you're not going. We live in a 400 square foot apartment. We want to move to California. She loves Cali. She has friends out here. We want to get a house, have a baby, start a family, and make this move. So they got H2O staying in the Oakwoods. I'm not really focused. I'm not really focused. I'm not saying I'm not excited. I'm nervous about making this move. I know we're going to catch a lot of shit. Message boards had just started.
Right.
I love Epitaph. I love that relationship.
Back then, kids cared about that shit.
They did.
Yeah.
They cared what
They
they
did
would
not
do.
want you to
Even
succeed.
though they didn't know the full picture, they're like,
exactly. And so my band's
Yeah.
like, let's just try this out. Brett's like, yo, you want to leave? You can always come back. Brett was so cool about it.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
man. He was so
He wanted
supportive.
you to get your opportunity.
Yeah, and so, Offspring had left and did their thing from Epitaph. A lot of our friends were doing that, trying major labels. A lot of bands. I Love did that.
That's true.
Quicksand, Civ,
lot of
Orange
bands.
9.
Yeah.
We had been. Oh wait, we were managed by Scott McGee, who managed Kiss.
Yeah.
Wow.
To this day, still managed his brother, Doc McGee.
Doc McGee.
Yes.
Yeah.
So under this management was H2O, Quicksand, Orange 9mm,
that's right,
and
Orange
Civ.
9, yes.
We all managed by the same dude, Scott McGee, at the time.
That's cool.
So that was so. Anyway, we make this jump.
Yeah.
We go to do this record, and we're in Rumbo Studios, and Axl Rose is next. Guns N' Roses are doing their Chinese Democracy album the whole time.
Oh my god.
So I have so many Axl stories, but we would sneak in there, and we go into his music booth, surrounded in roses and candles. We go in there at night and check it out. When he'd come over the intercom, Axl was here. Everybody get totally fucking nervous. He'd pull up and like his little. He had like some weird like SUV.
What?
Yeah, and he'd pull up by himself, and he'd have the braids and the sweatpants and the high docks. What? Surreal moments, man. Like one time he was in there watching a football game, and we all told each other, yo, who's going to go say what's up to this dude? He's been here every fucking day. Todd's like, I'm going to do it. So then Todd would walk out, see him, go into the bathroom, come back, won't say shit to him. So I was like, I'm going to go do it too. And I would go out, I go in the bathroom, and I start talking in the mirror, like, this is what I'm going to say to him. I say, yo, and he was just surreal. It was him. It was Axl watching football by himself. Yellow sweatpants, braids, high top oxblood docks, by himself. We're like, I ain't saying shit to this dude. So we recorded the whole time next to this guy. So for me, and I've spoken about this many times, people think I hate the Go record. I do not hate the Go record, but my mind was not there. I wasn't 100% in the leaving Epitaph and going to a major. I was super nervous. I was moving to Los Angeles, so I didn't write one lyric on that whole entire album.
What?
I didn't write one song. I let my brother and Rusty take the reins on that album.
Interesting.
My mind was somewhere else, and they did that whole album. Me and Adam really didn't do much on the album. We're a friend. So I didn't write anything to that. So that's my main regret, is that I wasn't, my head wasn't in that album, and I feel like it's completely,
wow.
It's too clean for me. I love you, Matt Wallace. It's my brother. We're still friends today, and I just let other people take the reins for that album, and I love those songs, and it's our 20th anniversary of the songs in this May, and my goal was to re-record the whole album with Chad Gilbert, who did Nothing to Prove and Use Your Voice, where I love. He loves this band. He gets this band.
I see.
And we let it go into Matt Wallace, which is great, but it's over poppy. It's so fucking clean. But a lot of those songs stand up live with our older songs. We play them live. Memory Lane, Role Model. A lot of those songs stay up.
I got to tell you, before this, I went back and I re-listened to that record.
Okay.
Front to back, and thought about it, man, because I know you probably caught some shit, and I know there's mixed feelings about it. And I listened to it, and I was like, this is a cool record, man.
Okay.
And to me, it just felt like a progression. And anybody that listens to that and thinks it's not an H2O record just needs to listen to H2O again.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a good fucking H2O record,
thank
bro.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and I hear everything in there. I hear the Dag Nasty.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I hear the old hardcore. I hear the Descendants in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, that record's too poppy. And then they go put a fucking Descendants record on when they get home.
Yeah. No, I know.
You know what I mean? Like, dude, what's the difference?
No, I appreciate it, but looking now, people love that record.
It's great.
Like the first couple months, they're on a major. Now they sound overproduced, and now there's message boards. So yeah, we did catch
message boards.
But now people request those songs and get bummed when we don't play something. Right. But it took a little while, you know what I mean? But back then it was so easy to judge you before you even heard the album, what label you were on.
Yeah.
And then they heard it's popular.
Yeah,
and I get it, because I feel like those songs are all great songs. I'm proud of those songs, but I wish I would have wrote some of those songs, and I wish they weren't overproduced. I feel like if Chad came back and redid those songs, we'd have the punk and hardcore energy that we had, and everything Chad's done with us, because I love what he does with the band. And so I have no regrets in my life about H2O, but I do wish that I had I was more focused on that record, and that experience. We got too much money. We had too much time.
Right.
We had these video budgets.
Right.
And then the one positive thing is that we played Conan O'Brien, which no New York hardcore band has ever done.
So dope.
And that was a great fucking moment. Wearing all of our friends' band shirts, have all of our friends' tags on the amps. John Joseph's in the crowd. Like this is my it was like a proud dad.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Will Farrell was there. We got to meet him. There was a
Wow.
live bear or a monkey in the back of the cage. So that was
What the fuck?
So that moment, like we're on tour, and I think we played Wetlands that day. Then we go do Conan O'Brien, and that moment was an exciting moment for us to be. I'm X'd up on TV wearing a Madball shirt, like repping our friends. Got the slick back to Dickies, like you know, like we wanted people to know, like we're not forgetting where we come from because we're on a major label.
Right.
You know, we're gonna actually let some of the melodies from bands that aren't hardcore come through in this album. And I personally don't like when a band makes the same record over and over again.
Oh, it's the worst.
So I loved when 7 Seconds did Ourselves and Praised and New Wings and So Force Revolution. Those are my favorite albums because I never heard of U2 until I saw them thanked on that 7 Seconds album. And then I got into U2 because that and Kevin had grown his hair out. And like they turned me on to that shit, you know?
Incredible.
And so like
wow.
I love all the most melodic 7 Seconds and they cut a lot of shit for those too. But I
Bands
love those
yeah,
records.
yeah.
But I love the
Society's
crew.
change.
I love
Yeah.
Walk Together, Rock Together. I love those records, but a lot of those records they sound the same to me. But and 7 Seconds is my favorite band in the whole world. And they changed everything for me. But when I saw them take a chance and do that, I'm like, fuck it, man. Those are my heroes. So long story short, I love the Go record. Those songs stand up with all the other songs live.
Absolutely.
But I just wish I wrote some shit on that. I wish my head was in a different place. And I was so worried about making that transition that it fogged me as far as like being creative on that album. You know what you know what I'm saying? So like people think I hate it, but listeners, I don't hate the record. I love the songs, but I wish I was more involved in it. You know, I was moving. It was a big I was leaving New York as a big deal. I didn't want to leave.
Of a life change.
Yeah, I didn't want to leave
family.
New York. I left New York kicking and screaming. My wife said, "Yo, I'm going with it without you." So we left. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So anyway, I love the record. It's 20 years old this year. We are going to be releasing it on. We're trying to get the rights to release it on vinyl. Fantastic. It only happened one time 20 years ago. I love to re-record it. I love the songs, and I love what I love what my brother and Toby Morse did, and I'm proud of those songs. But they were a tad bit too overproduced for me.
Not enough teeth for you.
Yeah, and they're too clean for me. Okay. And you know, I don't know. I was out of my element. It was away from Epitaph or Brecker. It was like I had not abandonment issues, but like just leaving that nest of that family to me. It was
I like how songs sound with time though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those songs have
Absolutely.
their own life now, dude.
Yeah.
And you're gonna record them different. It's gonna be cool.
But when we get to the next one, that's when I just wrote every song and let we're talking about Nothing People. That's my most favorite album since the first one because I let everything out and I just wanted to and it'd been 6-7 years since that album. Anyway,
that's cool. So
we were burnt from touring. Like we didn't hate each other, and the reason why H tours together 26 years is because we did take a 7-year break after the Go record that tour because we were fucking drained, and we didn't want to hate each other, and we love each other. And I think we would have fucking exploded if we had the highs and lows of that major label shit. Conan O'Brien, people calling us sellouts for that too, and just everything. And you know, we needed a break and wanted to just try real life out for a second. Because we were nonstop from every fucking album touring. We didn't have wives or kids or real jobs. We could just fucking go. Yeah. And so I think that break really fucking saved my band. So we'll go. Yeah.
And I love that era's gone where people cared about labels. Like now, a kid's like, "What the fuck's a major label?" You know, it's great. Like it's not an issue.
And so many bands that hated labels, they fucking ended up trying majors too. You know. Anyway.
So by 2002, you guys are both fucking just rolling, dude. And I think by this time, a lot of your set has to be populated with your own songs. Yeah, which must have made you feel much more comfortable, maybe.
I mean, at that time, I think we were playing probably 5 max new songs, you know, because people were still getting used to the fact that there was a new singer in the band. Yeah. So the set
crazy shoes to fill.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so you got to town and just
let me get you water. Go piss.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it was just like really let's do 100% performance on stage, and you know, keep our head up. You know, and there were again like really good tours that we got offered. That were phenomenal, you know, that really got us used to playing with each other, touring with each other. So there was like opening for Metallica in South America tour, which was just like dream come true, you know. God, there was, you know, a lot of like really amazing stuff. Like as far as different tours with like Motorhead, and I mean that came a little bit later, but I mean it was just like Slayer tour where we opened up for Slayer, and Systems of a Down was the opening band for the whole thing, and it was their first album out. You know, that brought us, you know, in front of big crowds and heavy crowds and stuff. So it was really challenging. You know, it was challenging. Absolutely. And we just learned a lot. We learned a tremendous amount from doing these tours.
And from going from like the hardcore scene to having to learn how to keep the attention of a guy in the back of a stadium.
Yeah, that was, you know.
That's got to be a fucking skull fuck, dude.
That was,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no doubt. I mean, it was definitely getting my head around that and how fanatical fans really are and still are around the world, you know, for the band. But
it's incredible.
You know, we had to really build that audience. You know, it was a fight. You know, there were people there crossed arms. You know, just like, okay, you know, halfway through the set, like start getting into it. But
you had to prove yourself.
And to definitely, and that was okay. I had no problem with that. But I just didn't realize how limited some of the older fans were as far as like their ability to accept any new music.
Closed-mindedness, you mean?
Exactly.
There's some old fans that probably didn't even want Chaos AD.
Yes, you're right.
They just wanted old speed metal.
But that's when I started to realize, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, these are just people who are just very bitter. They have their own opinion, but at the same time, they're kind of like your parents where you're like, oh, what is this stuff I'm hearing? They hate anything new. They can't get their head around. And I was like, man, I never want to be in that mindset of in music. And like Toby was saying, like, I think it's boring when there's certain bands that do the same album, repeating themselves. And I think as an artist, that totally defeats the purpose of
there's a catch-22 to it.
Yeah,
I heard Brett Gurewitz say one time. He said, you know, right before when Generator came out, he was like, everybody was just complaining that we made the same Bad Religion record over and over again, so we made one a little different, and now everyone's complaining that we fucking made a different record.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
But it's a weird, you know, that happens a lot though.
I know, and I want to say one more thing about the Go record, that looking back on it now, maybe in that moment I was so worried about making that move and a major label and trying something different, even though I love melodic music, but I never really sang. That's the most I've really sang on an album as a Go record. I'm really proud of my band that we took a chance and did that and survived it together and still play music and love each other. And we did something we wanted to do. Nobody had any control. We wrote all of our songs, and you know, people were barely in that studio. And Matt Wallace knew nothing about a band, and he learned so much. We had a friendship with him, and I'm happy we took that chance and did that, because some bands, like, they stay that same way and they never do that. And
dude,
we did it.
A phenomenal opportunity, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How could you say no to that? Like, why would you say no? No, not even a thought.
That change is so necessary. I mean, it's cool that you can look back now and realize that album had to happen in order for the next album to take place, and also to keep the band together. So you're like, I get it now. I'll never not be a part of it. You know, like I'll always have my head focused into it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's people that hit me up to this day. Yo, that was my gateway to H2O. The first time I heard H2O was Go, or saw you on Conan O'Brien, or saw you in the Warped Tour, or saw you in Newfound Glory. Like, that's sometimes people's first albums.
This is a good point that you have, because this has started to happen not on the time that we're at now in Nation, the album, but that starts to happen where people are like, that's my first album. That album that you sang on.
I love that.
And I'm like, all right, I forgot the fact that there's a lot of young people just getting into it. And
totally.
That's super important to them. And I was like, what am I worried about? And it's just like, there's always, people, they either like it, or, there's going to be people that love what you do, or people who don't understand. There's always going to be a diversity.
Totally.
But you shouldn't really worry about it. If you believe in what you're doing, you're behind it.
And you love what you're doing.
Yeah. Did you feel like a total foreigner? I know you were a foreigner. You were from America, but not being a Brazilian.
The pressure.
Did people have pressure or like hate on you for that? Like, because you weren't?
That was the least of the pressure, believe it or not. Especially in Brazil, it was actually something that they were the most embracing.
Like, they wanted their band to succeed.
Yeah, they wanted to see the band succeed. They were proud of Sepultura, and that was really like amazing. In the U.S., it was a little hardcore as far as like people's.
I remember those first tours and going to shows and people being all like, geez.
And in Germany, they were like, that's like one of our biggest markets in Europe, and it was difficult at first, but then again, they were there with a little bit more open-mindedness, I want to say.
Well, they have no choice. You're the fucking singer. They have no choice. It's like, you like it, you don't like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. And you
You're not going anywhere.
Right.
They're not going to vote you out like American Idol. Like, their votes don't count. It's,
This is
you got
true.
you get picked. I don't know.
dude, and I've had people say it to me, hey, man, it's just not the same. You think I don't fucking know it's not the same? Dude, because it isn't. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, tell me something I don't know.
I'm not the
already.
singer.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not that guy.
I know.
It's so funny. So that year,
Okay.
you guys are both rolling. You guys drop Revolute songs, the covers
right.
EP, and then you dropped the live CBGB record, which is a
shit.
gangster move.
Wow.
Gangster move, dude. Because instantly I'm like, oh, that's like Agnostic Front. You know what I mean? Like. That's so
That
hard.
wasn't even our choice. We got asked to be part of the CBGB series to do that record. Yeah,
man.
by CBs, yeah.
God, it's so cool.
Yeah.
What an honor,
Wow.
And
Can I tell you something about that real quick?
Yeah,
though?
please, dude.
I'm not sure if this is the one when I said it's getting hot in here. I said that on stage because that was the time when that song was big with Nelly. I said so on that record. I said that, but Nelly's publishing came after us.
What?
For me saying that.
What?
For me saying it's getting hot in her. But if I had said that it's getting hot in here, it's fine. But since I said it the way he said it, they came at us and I think they took like 1 penny. They took something per that record.
Nelly
it wasn't Nelly.
Nelly got
the
paid on
publishing
live
came after me.
actions.
So because I said that because it was really hot at the CB show, I said that. They came after us for me saying that on stage.
I'm boycotting.
Oh, you know
all
why?
my Nelly
Because we were
songs.
both. Wait, because we were both on majors, both on Universal. I think that's why they found out. But I think they took like a penny or something per record. That's a fact.
That's some petty shit.
But it wasn't Nelly.
Yeah, I'll boycott Nelly too.
but
if you ever invites us to Nellyville, I'm going.
Yeah, exactly. I know it wasn't Nelly, but it was the publishing people.
Okay,
You know?
all right,
That's amazing,
all right.
dude. It's great.
I'm not hating on
But
Nelly.
I'm happy.
That's a little fact.
It's a little part of me is happy that Nelly made like a quarter of a penny off of something.
And then Nelly,
H2O,
I'm happy that Nelly might have heard H2O at CB's. I don't know.
And real quick, just to touch back, you made another record with Steve Evans, Revolute Songs, right? Was that recorded at the same time?
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean
that
a
makes
little
sense.
bit close to the same time,
And-
but
and-
we felt really comfortable with Steve, and he really got the band, and he really understood the fact that we needed to push forward.
Okay. And yeah, I just want to also point out your Black Stealing Hour Chaos. That fucking cover is so fucking ill,
All
dude.
right, man.
And okay, so I just wanted to jump in and out of those real quick.
I love that.
And to get to back to the full length. So okay, so we get to 2003. You guys are on a break.
Yes.
What was your last tour?
Oh man, it must have been like something big and long and draining in 6 weeks. I don't know if it was 2000. We did the Boxcar Used tour with H2O. That was like 2000. Yeah, that was the last tour. Boxcar Racer, Used and H2O.
Wow.
2002.
Hey, that's a good fucking farewell tour. That's a big tour.
Yeah, that was the last
Damn.
tour because my wife was pregnant on that tour. Max was born in 2003. Hazen Street's 2004. That's it. That was the last tour.
Wow.
That was our break after that.
I see.
So you're on a break. You're touring, then we get into 2003 with the release of Roarback. And you guys, once again, I think went into a really thoughtful, artful direction, being ahead of the curve, and you go get Derrick Hess to do the art for your record, who at the time was about to pop, and you're part of the movement that helped that art
to pop.
blow. You helped that art blow up.
And
He's a big artist.
He's a big artist, and
at the time,
he's originally from Cleveland, and that's who I know.
Oh,
from
so
the
you
scene.
knew Derrick Hess.
Yeah,
that was you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man.
That's even better.
That was really cool with always, being a part of Sepultura, wanting to join the band because they gave so much freedom of we really want you to be a member, to
That's
contribute.
so fucking rad.
So it was really cool,
Dope.
man. Derrick,
Wow.
I've known him from going to shows, and he did a lot of the flyers for the local gigs. So that was, I was like, yo, we should have him as the artist.
Now tell me if I'm interpreting this right. You come out of Nation, your second record.
Yeah, people at the label were like, that was the end. We had one more album.
Was that
to go.
Roadrunner?
Roadrunner. We're like,
And this
we're
was
getting off. Fuck you. Fuck you. Not you, but fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Because I think Roarback was on.
It was on
SPV.
SPV
out of Germany.
Right.
Yeah, I remember.
So
looking
we
at the
were
back of my
able to.
CD.
So we were able to switch labels, and that we're super happy about that because
great.
we wanted to be a full label that supported us.
Absolutely.
SPV, again, we're working with Motorhead. That was from Todd. Our manager got us there, and they were, ready to do this And so we were like, again, like, let's go crazy. Like, let's get some crazy concept going and try some different stuff.
And once again, you worked with Steve Evans, who understood the progression. And I feel like on Roarback, you started getting into like deeper songwriting. And I feel like you kind of let everybody know, you came out, the Nation happened, and that after Nation, it felt like it was just like, haters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is us. We are a fucking band, and fucking this is what we do.
Right.
And now we're really flexing, because you flexed on that vocally, bro.
Definitely.
You know, like,
but it was tough. Even the further that we were like trying to break out of any type of box that they were trying to put us into, the harder it was, like, I think, on certain fans. But we kept rolling. There were still videos that were going on that were, they labels made you do and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay, we can at least be creative with this as well, and really just push with the ideas. Like you said, that change is really difficult for certain fans, but they have to understand that, the artist is going to do what they want to do.
Absolutely.
It's going to move them.
Something that people should have known by this point about your band, and which he has a lot in common with H2O, and I'm going to get into this later in your catalog.
Okay.
Both of your bands, to me, are about progression and doing what you want to do, but you guys approach it from a different way. You guys are constantly about progression, doing new things, trying new things. You guys are about progression too, but you look back to find the inspiration to what you're going to do new.
Yeah, it's really true.
I mean? So I kind of like, I view you guys.
We do a little bit of that as well, though. I mean, it's not so, but it's important that there's certain elements that really brought the band to where it is to keep those,
Exactly.
But in a natural way, not trying to recreate it, but have those certain elements that's like, it's got to have some this and a little bit of this, that feeling that really.
And you felt with Roarback after that came out a little bit of a shift.
It was a big it was a shift because they're like, maybe you guys shouldn't be experimenting so much, is what we're hearing like on certain labels, and we're just like, but we're still just
we're flying right now, man.
Like trying to get our heads around each other and the whole situation.
Yeah, it's a whole new dynamic.
Yeah.
You're just
still
you're creating, and
which
to me I thought was evidence of this growth was because in 2005 you put out Live in Sao Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
So to me that would lead me to believe that the fans are all about it.
Yeah, I mean,
you know I mean,
yeah,
no doubt. I mean, there was definitely live shows and things like that were starting to change a little bit. But when we started having more new material to play live, so it was like a mixture of old and new. And then there was definitely a shift where we felt like, okay, from Roarback now we got to really step up and
boy, did you.
Yeah, and just go really, like show these mothers like, fuck. It's like, okay, let's really step up a level and bring something that they wouldn't ever imagine from Roarback. They're like, let's move to a whole different look, everything.
Right, and that's what I want to get into. So if I'm mistaken, this is at least from like a fan's eye, and reading the zines and all this. It's because you guys in 2006 released Dante.
Right.
And XXL. And that was your last record with Igor.
Yes.
And so leading up to that, from Revolusongs on, as far as what the fans can see, we could see Igor bringing in his influences because he was going into a different world of electronic music and beats and all kinds of stuff, DJing with his wife. I saw him when he'd come to LA. Let's go check out Igor DJ, man. That's sick.
DJ Mix Hell, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're like a duo.
Yeah.
And so that being his last record, he was on his journey into just finding new pathways.
Yeah, I think it was always very difficult for him. Just because he had a brother that was in the band that he started,
yeah,
so it was like, and they weren't.
I didn't take that into account.
I can relate to that too. My brother left. I can relate to that.
And I actually wanted to ask you about that. We're gonna get to that because that's a big deal.
It is,
but it had a lot to do with of course, with his head, being in certain places and not having that communication also, because when he left, they weren't talking.
Wow.
For like 6-7 years.
Wow, man. I can't imagine.
So that. also I believe it was also.
And he's just not locking in psychically with somebody.
No, and
stage,
also like
right?
it's like totally a different realm.
It must be so weird for him to see you up there singing his brother's songs.
I mean, it's like they wrote all those songs together, like Andreas and Paulo and Igor, and it was. I think that wasn't. I mean, the difficult part I think was, I guess, just family. I don't know. I can't really speak for him, but I can imagine. That would be very difficult, and also having a level of people where they were always like kind of kissing ass, that were always there, or some other people that really were just like. Everything you're doing was just like, oh, this is amazing, and then to like a change and they're like, not really there like it was before. Maybe a little of that, and a lot of things that I think that were going on with him as far as like relationship and everything. So it was like not so much focus on the band. It was like pretty much a lot of stuff that he wanted to take care of. So it was difficult writing that album, just because he wasn't there 100% of the times, but he was, so it was like, all right, we're going to need an artist. Like I thought of the concept. I was like, Dante Alighieri. And it's like totally intense and complex. And they're like, yeah, let's do this. I was like, fuck, okay,
really?
Let's go in. And so everybody's got to read the book. We got to go the whole theme album. And then Igor found the artist. And this was great, like it was perfect. Wow. Like this Brazilian artist who did paintings for each part of the album, was like well thought of before the actual album came out. We did all this research, and the recording was great. We were used to playing with each other by then. It was like kind of like our junior or senior album with Igor.
Let me ask you, in your head, because I feel like this, like by this point you have a ton of your own material,
right?
And I feel like, and that's another thing with the dynamic with Igor. He's watching you sing songs about things that happened to him and his brother growing up. You know what I mean? And you're trying to emote and sing these songs with full-blown passion every night.
Without being there, experiencing
exactly.
them. Yeah.
Right.
And so I oftentimes am singing things about...
Because you sing in 3 different bands.
Yeah, well, exactly. So I feel like to get into the emotion or the headspace or whatever, I'm almost playing a character, and sometimes... not in a disingenuous or fake way, but sometimes a vocalist becomes an actor. You know what I mean? Because you have to get into that mode, right?
Totally.
You know what I mean? And feel it. But I feel like by this point, like you had to feel great, because now you're like, no, I'm being me full time pretty much.
I mean,
now.
the stuff that I wrote and stuff like that. But you got to understand, like those songs and music have an impact on you, whether you wrote it or not. Oh, so that feeling, or that, that really get people into a band. I have that excitement from hearing those songs. It brings back my childhood when I hear, or play those Arise songs. It's like, what comes to my head is not I wrote the song. What comes in my head is just like that feeling and energy I got from the lyrics and the music of that time. It has an impact on you where it's just like, this is my, I related to my
along to it back in the day,
right?
In your car, or whatever,
and it's just like I relate to my situation or what's going on. So, I mean, that was actually the easiest parts, like knowing those, because I listened to those songs or had to learn those songs, and so it became something that was very.
Where did you
natural.
record that?
Dante?
Yeah.
That was in Brazil as well.
With Stanley Soares?
Stanley Soares.
Andre Moraes?
Yes. Stanley primarily because Stanley was our sound engineer, and then we're like, let's roll with Stanley. He knows our sound live. He's a technical person, and we trust him with sound. He's a great sound engineer, and he really is passionate about doing this. And it was tough because, I mean, Igor's in and out dealing with personal stuff, and then but we felt really good because the writing, we become so connected from all the other albums, the touring and everything, when like again it was like our senior album together, and it was like, yeah, this is it. And the label's like, this is sounding good, you guys got more of a focus, and they're like, this is gonna be good, like we're gonna promote the hell out of this. And then it came time, like once it was done, we invited different journalists to Brazil and come and listen to the album. We stayed for like a week and a half and took them out. I had a bar then with Paulo, And we took
Oh,
them
really?
to our
You got a bar? That's
Yeah.
so cool, dude.
And we're just like, yeah, I got all the journalists there. We're going to do a listening party. You guys are going to hear Brazil.
Wow.
You're going to feel
Cool.
it. It was cool. And it was like, yeah, this is going so well. And then it got to like, we're going to tour. And then Igor was like, I'm not going on tour.
What?
And like literally like, what?
Damn.
And it was just like a complete like, now what? Now what?
Wow.
We're going to get into that transition in a second. But so that's
Right.
2006, Dante XXL. You guys go and you do all the touring, right?
We did. We were like, okay, well, we did an album. We have to tour on it. And so we got Roy Mayorga to come and do that tour.
Awesome.
And there's some cool videos online of him just shredding the fuck
Roy was-
out of those songs with you, dude.
Shit, he was so into it.
Oh, I'm a fan.
And he came out and killed it. We did a
Back to
tour.
hardcore too with Roy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nausea, yeah.
Exactly.
Shelter.
Dude,
Dude, Shelter.
back to hardcore again. Saves
come
the
back
day.
to it,
Always
yeah.
come back. And that was phenomenal. We did a tour with In Flames. They were on the
that's
come up then.
fucking dope.
They hadn't used Derrick Hess as the artist yet.
Ooh, it was
For
you
their-
guys.
yeah.
I know.
That's sick.
And
You guys and Poison the Well, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of really like it was you, then them, then it just kept going, right?
Yep. But that was great. I mean, it was the awesome tour. Really felt like then I was like, okay, now I feel that people are feeling the first album that I did. That generation gap, like people like, I only know you from this. So that was definitely like a pivotal change I started to notice.
Now, once we get to 2008, you're rolling off of that record, and you guys make the comeback.
Boom,
Yes.
boom, boom.
Dun, dun, dun. Nothing to prove.
Dun, dun,
Paul
which is-
Minor.
Exactly. Nothing to prove is a rad title, man, because every band that tries to like come back, dude, it's like you get there's like a meme of Steve Buscemi with like a sideways cab, like, hey kids, what's up? You know what I mean? Like you're not that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everybody tries to come back like, hey, I'm hip, I'm young. And I remember playing with you and seeing you, and you would just walk on stage and be like, yo, fucking what's up? Straight up, you'd be like, straight up, we're old guys. You know what I mean? You would just make jokes.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I've been busy being a dad. You're like, man, fuck all these fools. I got nothing to prove. And I love that so much. And you guys just came back and came out swinging, dude.
Yeah.
You know, and you worked with Chad and
Chad
Paul
Gilbert,
on that record.
Yeah.
And you guys came to Orange County to make the record
Oh,
with Paul Minor.
Yeah. Buzz Bomb Studios, yeah.
Yes, the infamous Buzz Bomb Studios.
Yeah. That was a great moment because we weren't thinking about putting a new record out because it took 7 years, obviously. We all moved and had families, and my brother moved to Cali, and Adam moved here, and they moved back to New York, and Tarfin's still in Jersey. And so, like, and then Rusty moved out here, and so we kind of all over the place. And then it was like, we want to put a record out. We're ready, you know? And so we had one lunch with Chris Bridge 9 in New York. We were out there doing something. We sat with him at this spot, and we talked to him, and he said, I'd love to put a new record out.
Ooh.
And we had some demos. And so, yeah, it's kind of, that's where it kind of happened. And Chad's like, I love to produce it. I get the band.
Yeah.
I get these reasons why I love your band. These why I don't like your band. We're going to make it, you know what I mean? Make it work. And so, yeah, we did that record, and we're like, fuck it. We're just going to make a record, and we didn't know what to expect.
But this time you were like, I'm going to be 100%. Like your head is like
like
focused
in the game.
completely.
Yeah, I remember writing what
You have a
happened in the
kid, you
car
have,
ride
like-
with Chad down there. Yeah, they writing
Right.
lyrics, and that was all
You're-
inspired.
everything
in the
has
car ride?
changed.
Yeah, man.
Dude,
with
that
lyrics.
song fucking blew up.
That was,
That is
yeah.
like
and that's the
a
last song on the
hardcore
record.
anthem, dude.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
so crazy, man.
Crazy. Like,
It's great. Yeah, so we're all Sundays like about my dad and my becoming a dad. That's like the most emotional song I've
like,
written. So
yeah.
everything was just coming out, just pouring and just ready. And it was exciting making that record with Chad, and it was a great experience. And yeah, we didn't know what to expect because it had been 7 years.
dude, and that song was big. I mean, I'd seen it. Like a giant tent with 5,000 kids in it. You know, like
yeah.
Cruise Rock just go. You know, people just losing their minds, dude. Like you guys.
Yeah, they were really that just the timing and just and Bridge 9 and their crowd, their audience, and yeah, I'm really lucky with that. We did not know what to expect. Because people were like, oh fuck you, but the people that loved a show really waited those years and kept asking us when we do something new, and we just kept touring.
Wow.
Did the Hazen Streets, so like what's going on? And then when we did that, yeah, I'm really fucking lucky, and Chad did a great job, and Paul Minor, and
So in between that, there was Hazen Street.
yes.
So tell me, like, what was going on? Because I was like in a world of confusion out of the U.S. and I was like, "What is this? A band? What's going on? Is this a project?"
Okay. So I want to say one more thing about Go. We did a video for Role Model,
Okay.
but the label wanted us to play Memory Lane on Conan, and then a local independent station started playing that Like a Prayer cover by Madonna, and then they were trying to get us to make that song our single. We refused to do a cover song as a single, so we just kept it moving and never did that. Just want to say that was one factual thing. Yeah, so it's like one video they pushed, and then one song they thought you should do that on TV, and then it was really strange. It was confusing. Anyway, so Hazen Street started.
Sorry to backtrack there.
No, it's okay. It's okay because Hazen Street, Chad and I owned this house together. He was living downstairs at the time.
Okay.
And he wanted to do something different in music, and I wanted to do something with Chad because I loved Chad. This is before he even did Nothing to Prove, so this is in between that. Excuse me. So he's like, if there could be a band, you would pick people you'd love to have in a band. Who would you pick? You know, so like, I said to him, who would you want? He's like, oh. So we started coming out with people. It's like, Freddie, Hoya, Mackie. And then Dave Kennedy, we became really good friends on the Boxcar Racer tour with H2O. And he comes from Over My Dead Body and Built to Last.
Okay.
So he comes from the core, straight edge dude his whole life. And we love Dave Kennedy. So we just started like, fuck it. And so we made these these songs.
And you got a hold of all these people.
And they're like, fucking, we're down. Okay. You know, and Freddie and Hoya had never been on a major label, that whole experience. Me and Chad had. Maybe Dave Kennedy had not either. Mackie had with Fun Loving Criminals.
Of course. All right.
So we go to Swing House. We make these demos at Swing House. And
which direction did you want to know the band? Sorry.
So we wanted
which direction?
We're going to write the most ill street lyrics, but have the most poppy music.
Okay.
That was Chad's vision.
Right.
We're going to have the most catchiest sing-alongs, but they're going to be like some hardcore shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
2 singers. And so we started making those demos. At that time,
I was on a bus with Freddie when he was writing all those lyrics.
Okay, there we go.
The headphones on every night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We were in Europe and asking a lot of questions. And
there we go.
Whoa, this shit's gonna be huge.
And so we did this demo, and then at that time, Good Charlotte was huge. Mm-hmm. They had their own implant called DC Flag on Epic Records. Mm-hmm. Chad gave them the demos. They fucking loved the demos. So as soon as they heard the demos, like, yo, we want to sign you guys to Epic or imprint, whatever, you know. And then somehow they're the ones that kind of got Howard Benson in the mix. To make it. None of us have. I had done it before on the Go record, so I'm still on the major label, expensive video, all the shit world. I have a couple years in between that, so they're at the Oakwoods once again. Dude, now with Howard Benson, and he had done a bunch of massive records,
massive by then.
And so it's all of us together, different personalities, everything. But I had known Mackie for years, my brother, and Freddie and Hoya, obviously, and Chad had know them through me. That Dave's kind of like the guy didn't really know anybody, you know?
Right.
And so we made that fucking record. And I remember listening to that record and having all the label come and hear it. And they loved the record. They loved the melody of it. And so we did the video. We had a fucking huge budget for Fool the World. We shot it in New York, Lower East Side. We had a trailer. We were sponsored by Nike. Thank you, Tim Bergevin. So we had like all Nike fucking wardrobe and all this shit. We had a catering there in Lower East Side. It was crazy, man. We had actors in the video, and we did this.
So good, dude.
Yeah, and we did this song.
Like the 2 Guido guys?
Yeah. And we did this Fool the World video, and it was fucking super cool. And we did Making the Video on MTV.
Nice.
Yeah. We did all this shit, and it was those guys like tripping because it was exciting for all of us. Mackie too. Like, yo, we all grew up with each other. Now we're gonna make kind of this crazy album.
We were in Germany, and I remember seeing the brothers, the Good Charlotte guys, on MTV in Germany, and we were all like, because they were talking about you.
Yeah, it's wild, man.
And we were all like, what? Like, this is crazy, you know? Like, dude.
Yeah. And so those kids have grown up on our bands and stuff like that. So it was fun for them to be in the mix doing that. Yeah, and so we did it, and like all of a sudden it's just like boom, we got every tour. We're like opening up for Story of the Year. They have a huge song on the radio.
Wow.
Opening our first show is at the House of Blues, opening for Story of the Year and a whole fucking tour. And then from there we do Warped Tour. Wow. And then we do like Hazen Street, Yellow Card, New Fangoria, massive in Japan. Those bands were big there.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, our record Connect in Japan sold really well in Japan because of our bands we came from before, Mabo and H2O, you know. Yeah. So we went there, and that was insane reaction.
I saw a video on YouTube of you in Japan. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, that was
That's a tough market.
We were surprised. I know. We were surprised too because I don't know, it was fucking awesome. And then we did POD US tour, which was fucking awesome. Yeah. And then the middle of the Warped Tour, the label was like, hey, you need to fly home. We need to do a showcase. So we flew back to New York on a day off on Warped Tour. They put us up in the W or some shit. And then we play for all the executive people from Epic. So it's just, me and Freddie never did that before. So we're playing on the floor. Everybody's at tables drinking. And we had to play Fool the World and whatever the second single is going to be. And so it was kind of awkward because I looked at Freddie and like, fuck it. So me and Freddie just started walking up to the tables, just singing.
What?
We were just like, fuck it. We got phone here, yeah.
Right.
So they gave us a standing ovation. Everybody up and gave a standing ovation. It was fucking crazy. The dude who signed us actually brought the Clash to America the first time. I forgot his fucking name. He's an OG legend from Epic. He brought the Clash to America. He was like a New York dude. He fucking loved the vibe, you know. Mm-hmm. But I think it was timing for us because there was this anticipation for this album. We had no expectations, but the songs were catchy. They were getting some play. At that same time, there was pressure because Good Charlotte were putting out their second album, which was a double album.
Okay.
After the success of like Lifestyles Rich and Famous, you know, they had their next record. It was a lot of pressure for them to get that second record come out. Chronicles of Life and Death or something. So the focus kind of went from like, okay, cool, they have this band Hazen Street on their imprint, did all these tours, had a good little vibe, but now it's time to focus on your band, the reason why you have this imprint, which was Good Charlotte, and that came on. So the tension kind of went from like that label imprint to them, and I get it, that happened, it was the timing. And so the record really didn't do, I guess, what the label expected. We really had we were just having fun. It was we were in tour bus from Jump. No vans. We were all on a tour bus from the Jump, flying to places.
That's amazing.
Like, we were just like, fuck it. We feel like we paid our dues in our hardcore life.
Yeah,
dude.
Right.
I remember I was texting with Hoya, and I was driving through LA somewhere, and there was a tour bus, and it fucking, I think you had Hazen Street on. You know how you can put the letters on the front of the bus?
Yeah. We did have that.
Yeah, and I remember I drove by them all. Wait, what? And then I remember texting Hoya, did I just see a fucking tour bus? He's like, yeah, dude. You know, like, like, what the fuck? I saw your bus parked.
Yeah, so we just, it was just fun, like having that.
Baller.
Yeah, that experience with these guys. You know what I mean? Staying in the hotel. Like, it was just fun. So then, you know, and I think when people came out, they didn't know what to expect. And so just like I feel like the Go record, people automatically were judging before it came out. Then they heard like, you know, this is kind of different. It's kind of rappy. It's poppy. It's bouncy. Now people love that shit, you know, but some of the first shows you played were great. We started doing the headlining shows in New York. People loved it because we had so many friends from, you know, and so fast forward, I mean, people love that record. It gets so much love and praise.
It's a big record, man.
As like you know, like like some part of time, something we did, this one album we did, you know what I mean? Like, it was so fun making it, working with Mackie, working with all these guys. Dude. You've seen how Freddie did his writing. We're from different bands. Yeah. Chad, too, is a great fucking songwriter, putting songs together, melodies, everything. The kids are he's really great with his ear and sound and music and I don't know. It was a great experience, you know, and I loved making it. I'm really proud of that album, and we had really fun touring 1 year on it, you know?
It's like a mythical record to a new generation of kids.
Right. Yeah. And we did the Warped Tour, and I remember every single fucking day, no matter there was 3 kids or 300 kids, Matt Ski became every day, hung and supported us. And he was like the main guy from the Warped to always support us on the tour. That's how we really became tight with him.
He's like that, dude.
Yeah.
He goes and like he watches. I remember that on Warped Tour too. Like, dude, he watches the whole set. Like, dude, that dude's real, you know? Like,
no, yeah, for sure. Dude, so he was supporting, and we were definitely oddballs on the Warped Tour, like 2 singers kind of rhyming, and and it was, you know. It was the whole experience was wonderful.
And so that was 1 year, you said, and that was how long before that and the next H2O album?
So that record came out in 2004, I want to say, Hazen Street.
Yeah.
And our next record we did, Nothing But came out in 2008, 4 years later.
2008.
Oh, 4 years later.
Yeah.
I see. Wow. So when was all right, this is coming to an end, you felt Hazen Street?
Hazen Street? Well, it was just a year. Like, everybody we did the thing, and, you know, I think the label... We did the single, and I think there was going to be a second single. It's a major... I forgot particularly what happened.
Right.
But I know that, like, the focus wasn't really on us as it would be Good Charlotte, because, you know, Good Charlotte was huge, and this was their new second album was coming out, the rollout, and ours was kind of in that mix of that, you know what I mean? So, like, I think the timing was off because I love that record.
Sounds like it.
If that record dropped at a different time, I think it would have done a different thing.
Right.
But I don't regret it. I love that journey. I love that year. Right. I love making it. We're proud of it. Mackie, we still talk about it to this day, and there probably will be a new Hazen Street. Mm-hmm. There is like some riffs floating around that I've been hearing and I heard for like the past year. Mm-hmm. And everybody's been so busy with the pandemic, whatever. But there is talks about maybe like a 3-song EP or something. Something will be made.
Right.
So yeah, now, it's not over.
So Hazen Street happens. You guys do Nothing to Prove.
4 years later, right?
Yeah.
4 years.
That record's rolling.
Okay.
We got into that, but like H2O is definitely like fucking not only back on the map. You guys are a part of the map. Like,
yeah, the timing of that record.
Yeah.
The label, Chris Bridge 9, everything we did for that record, everybody involved in that record. Yeah, we were really lucky that people were like turned their backs on us 7 years ago. They did, and they waited, and it was really wonderful.
And
we're like a brand new band, dude.
Where things were with the internet and everything, had that record to compare it, had that record come out on Epitaph, I think it would have been bigger than all the Epitaph records. And I think it was bigger because of the internet and all these new people heard you. You guys are touring deep Eastern Europe.
And Bridge, just like Epitaph in the 90s, that time in the 2000s, Bridge 9 had their built-in young hardcore.
They were the hippest
bass as well. You know what I'm saying? So
the B9 message board, bro. That's where you found out about shit, dude.
Exactly. So yeah, it was. I was very happy. It was overwhelming. It was
that
wonderful.
brings it to 2009 to Alex.
Yep.
Now, this is a Clockwork Orange themed record. Stanley Soares produced it. Am I saying his name right?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. Now, which coincidentally, Ross from GBH came by my spot the other day and just gave me the sickest bus stop size OG Clockwork Orange poster.
Wow.
Nice.
Weird timing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love
so,
that stuff.
Whose idea was the Clockwork Orange theme to the record?
I believe it was Andreas, but we definitely wanted to go the idea by doing the book by Anthony Burgess, not by like the Stanley Kubrick film,
right?
Because they have a different ending, and you can get a different meaning from the book than the movie, and so that we decided to go that route. So
I love that you had themes.
Yeah.
I mean, it really it helps.
We said
in the
tattoo
writing
flash.
process.
Yeah.
It's a dope theme, bro.
It's
just like kind of like focus in. It helps us in a lot of ways to start off like talking a lot about what do you want this album to be about, like what direction. So it was Clockwork Orange, and so we had to work with a new drummer, Jean Delabella.
I was gonna actually ask you about that.
So it's kind of again like starting from scratch, getting to know the other bandmate, how they roll, finding the rhythm.
So quote hot water music.
Yeah. It's, in the studio, on the road, so we had to go through that process again. But we were very confident again of wanting to stay together and just being in that moment, like let's do this. We want to still do this, so we still have our heart into it. And it was fantastic working with Stanley again, and also on this theme. We could really travel so many different directions, and it was fantastic to work on it. And at that point we're still SPV.
Yes.
And so it was kind of fading out. I think they were going through maybe bankruptcy, and I was really...
what year was that, 2008?
2000, where are we at, Efrem? 2008?
We were at 2009.
2009.
And what album would that be? How many have you made at that point?
That's Alex. So that would be, you did Against, Nation, Revolute Songs, which is an EP, Roarback, Dante.
Damn, bro.
Dante.
Yeah.
You guys put in work, man.
Yeah, it was like crazy, like right after another. And so we went right back in that touring cycle, and it was really heavy and awesome and fantastic. And I think a lot of people really started to get the idea of it. But then, it was difficult. It was like another drummer, another new person in the band. So it was, it was like a really rocky kind of time.
I'm very lucky.
Imagine. So you had to work through that, but you're working through that, doing this really cool concept.
Yes.
I imagine in your head you're kind of getting into the characters' heads and really
absolutely
playing it out with your voice.
Right. Totally.
And using those dynamics, dude, to make me kind of feel the characters.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
How I perceive
it. Absolutely. And that mood and theme, to really get into that. Yeah,
that's
so
cool.
Creative, man. I feel like so uncreative right this talking to, because we just did the card suits. Like, we had the Spade cover, then we had the Heart, then we have the Club, then the Go album's the Diamond. So that was our 4 suits of the albums. That was our trilogy or whatever. No, it's more than that. Yeah, I just feel like we should have been more creative with like our themes.
I think you guys were, because what you were doing was different at the time, and not a lot of bands were running with that aesthetic, and much less bands at your level. You were bringing a really underground thing to the mainstream, because we came from the generation that saw tattoo art, or like when I was a kid, I go to the pool hall,
right?
And you see the older guys there, and you're like, yo. that dude fucking means business.
Oh yeah,
he's got
no
a
doubt.
tattoo.
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
visible.
It's just like
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
there.
like, dude, it was fucking punk rock,
Okay.
dude. Like you guys, it was very impactful.
And
Okay,
so in
thank you.
2008, you were on
Bridge 9.
Bridge
Bridge
9
9.
Records.
Yeah, Bridge 9.
So Alex happens, and then you guys tore like crazy behind it,
like
right?
crazy, nonstop.
And I feel like I know somewhere in that time I saw you at a couple festivals somewhere, Germany or wherever, you know, and I think Belgium. At any rate, it seemed like, at least from the outside, you guys had your fucking flow and you're fucking rolling, and it's just going.
It was great because I mean, one thing was really cool is playing with the drummer who actually who wanted to be there.
Right. His head was in the game.
His head was in the game, and he was actually not coming from the school of like metal, really, or hardcore. He was a very smooth drummer, but he could play very heavy.
That's what's up.
But it was like cool, you know, like
kind of like how Suicidal has had drummers like that,
right? Yes,
like Aaron Moore,
exactly.
Oh, but so smooth,
amazing.
right?
Yeah,
smooth,
fluid.
like good grooves, and
That's
just
important.
like, he's in the groove. He's
You
in
get a lot of metal
pocket.
guys that don't have that pocket,
Right?
or that groove,
Exactly.
You know,
So that was a lot of fun to work with, and so by then, after that freshman album with Dolabella, we ended up doing another album with another label,
Kairos.
which
Now
is on
that's in
Nuclear Blast.
2011, where you guys lock up again. You do Kairos and you do Don't Forget Your Roots.
Oh shit.
And so
Shit.
now tell me if I'm wrong. Kairos was you did with Roy Z,
Yes.
and then you did Don't Forget Your Roots with Paul Miner.
Again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now
Stick with what you know.
Yeah, I love him.
now Kairos, Roy Z, gangster, band of gypsies, amazing guitar player. If you don't know Roy, like
Roy is L.A.
He's a guy that's been on one of my kind of my wish lists, you know,
Really?
guys to work with someday, because I love his guitar playing, and I can instantly recognize the record he worked on because he brings his guitar influence into it.
Gotcha.
Like
He
he did with
doesn't
you.
give a fuck.
Gotcha.
He is
Really?
crazy.
That's
He's wild
That's fucking
motherfucker.
awesome.
Okay.
He was definitely the wildest as far as like just like I don't give a fuck. Like I want to work with you guys for a long time, and now I get to work with you, and now I get to do my shit, you know. And he's just like
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
outspoken. LA,
Okay.
he's the shit, and he can play guitar.
He worked with Bruce Dickinson,
Okay.
Rob Halford. I
Awesome.
mean, he's
Completely
a G.
different, you know,
He played
realm.
on some of those Dickinson records.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
second
yeah.
guitar or whatever
Yeah,
with Adrian
he-
Smith.
completely different, you know, kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
world that we're coming
He
from.
did Downset,
Oh yeah,
shit.
that's right. Yeah,
one of the
Downset.
big Downset records.
That's
awesome.
true.
So
Piece of shit.
So at the same time, we've got Don't Forget Your Roots. And this is something I want to talk to you about, because that's something you guys always look for progression and look forward, but you find it by looking back and
Yeah.
not forgetting where you're from. And I think this Covers record really illustrated it. And I think the Covers record was also a fuck you to everybody that talks shit on Go, because you're like, yo, listen to Go. Now listen to all these cover songs.
Yeah.
Did you hear something in common? Because I fucking sure as hell do.
I don't think we thought like that, but it actually makes sense when you say it, though. Yeah,
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, listen to these songs.
Yeah.
You love
What were
these
some of
bands.
the covers that you did?
Embrace, Dag Nasty, 7 Seconds.
What Dag Nasty
The
song?
Clash. I don't know. I forgot what Dag Nasty. Dag Nasty maybe did Godfather.
Okay.
for-
Ooh,
Yeah, maybe.
it's hot.
I'm actually going
'cause I love Big
to
Out.
read you the track.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Soul Force Revolution song.
Oh, dude.
Satyagraha.
Yeah. Na,
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 Satyagraha.
Hey.
Oh man,
so-
I want to check this. I didn't know you had a
Yeah.
covers album.
Attitude.
Attitude, Bad Brains. Yeah.
Wow.
So Madball.
Yep.
Oh my
Pride.
God. Oh, I'm checking this out.
Chromax, Hard Times we did.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where I'm checking this out tonight.
I got
can't
you,
believe
bro.
it. Damn.
So Warzone.
Warzone, yeah.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
what was cool about Don't Forget Your Roots was that you didn't forget your roots. The art by Brian Walsby is so sick.
Walk Together, Rock
hand-drawn.
Together album cover guy.
And it's
So dope.
hand drawn.
Yeah.
And it's fucking so perfect, man. And you guys
Thank you, man.
really painted a picture for everybody
Thank
of
you.
like, this is who we are, man.
Thank you.
You know, and you also paid respect to everybody who opened the doors for all of us.
Yeah.
You know, we couldn't walk in if they didn't kick them down, man.
No, we did Boss Tones too, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Wow.
did do the Boston.
And-
Oh, it's so good.
And
dude.
Descendants and Circle Jerks and
Yeah.
Social Distortion.
Yeah. Now,
That's right.
let's talk about Social D, bro.
Love
That's
Social D.
fucking cool. And Social D has always had this weird, cool love from New York hardcore. I've always noticed guys wearing jackets and shirts since the old days.
We loved them. We used to always go see Social Tour. She'd come through town and play. And then when I got to go on tour with Mike Ness in '96, we opened up for the Mackie on drums.
Wow.
On I forget records, Heaven or Hell, whatever. I don't know.
So somewhere between Heaven and Hell.
But I remember like he was intrigued by New York, and I remember he said he would watch this every night. He's like, yo, he's like, you guys are like some hardcore doo-wop. Like somebody called us like hardcore doo-wop
because of Rusty and
and I remember a couple times too. We jumped in the barricade with some shit would be popping off some of the shows. We jumped down of his back, and then end of the tour we gave him a. It's not like we're not proud of this, but the New York thing is like an 8-ball and a sock. Like
yeah.
So the end of the tour, we gave Mike Ness the East Coast sock with 8-ball, and he was so fucking psyched.
Dude, that's amazing.
Well, I did some East Coast shit.
Nice.
What the fuck?
That's so dope.
You guys did Sick Boys. You know the
we did Sick Boys. Yeah.
There was an actual gang called the Sick Boys.
I didn't know
in
that.
California.
I didn't know that.
I remember George and Eddie Voodoo telling me that like the first time they heard punk was because one of the Sick Boys showed them like check out punk.
You know what just clicked to me too. And we talked earlier about our look. With the Dickies and the white beaters and the that was Social D. I totally slipped into Social D. And Suicidal.
Yeah.
All that.
Suicidal for sure.
Yeah. And the fucking winos, and we used to skate in the winos and all that shit. Yeah.
What's up?
So, always loved the West Coast, man. Always loved the West Coast.
So that's 2011. You both have records together at the same time again. You guys are both you're flying fucking super high. You've been rolling.
And the thing about it is our goal was to focus on the U.S. We always knew we were going to go to Europe, and we canceled several times going. I don't know if we were nervous or not. And we thought we'd never get to go because we did cancel, maybe not fly. I don't know what it was, but we wanted to be big in the U.S. We wanted to tour the U.S. so much and like really build ourselves here. So while we were doing that, bands like Sick of It All, Madball, Terror, Agnostic Front, all these bands, they were like paving the way for us in Europe. Yeah. And going there so much in the early days, even GB in the 80s. So then we finally got there. We kind of waited to almost the Nothing to Prove because it really connected in Europe. So we started really going hard not to like 2008 in Europe and really doing the festivals and all that stuff because we had done it in the past, but not like a lot of our friends go a lot. We didn't do that, and then we started going to Europe a lot, and that song What Happened at the very last song of our album that really connected in Europe a lot.
Yeah.
And we were completely
and having Blue and Matt on there.
Yeah.
That's so sick.
That's so dope.
Can I say that real quick? Wrote the song. Me and Matt had become really good friends from the Hazen Street days, and we wrote in the song. And I'm like, fuck, I want somebody singing that melodic part, and I don't know why I thought. I said maybe Matt Skiba would do it, and not many people knew. There's really on the internet. People knew we were tight, and it's such diverse H2 Alkaline Trio, kind of different spectrums. So I remember sending him that fucking song, and I said, I need you to write a vocal pattern for this or a bridge, and he sent it back, and we got fucking goosebumps just him singing on it when he wrote.
Sounds
and so when people came out, people were tripping like H2O, Matt Skiba. It was like it was so random to people, but for me it wasn't because we had connected on the Warped Tour and stuff, and met in New York in the early days. But yeah, so when I sent that to him, I got it back. It was a magical moment, that record, and then Lou singing on it, and then all of a sudden Skiba's in town randomly when we're shooting that video. It just worked out perfect, man.
A lot of people don't realize like how diverse Skiba and Alkaline Trio dudes are, man. Because we toured with them. Yeah. And dude, you be in one town and like you go on AK3 bus and there's like a bunch of cholos hanging out. And then the next night there's a dude from like the Satanic Church on there. And then the next night it's like some fucking pop guy. I'm like, dude, you guys like everything. This is awesome. You know, you never know who you're gonna meet.
Right.
You know
it's really true.
It's cool. So
that was a great moment. I'm happy to have. Yeah, it was great on the record.
So and that's now I think. That song to a whole new generation is an anthem.
Yeah.
It's what we believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, dude.
And I'll speak freely one more thing. I never really said this. I never recorded this before, but whoever did the artwork had nothing to do with Bridge 9. It was outsourced. And the person that did it forgot to put Skiba and give him credit for that song on the first pressing of the album. And Skiba, he was my brother, and he, obviously it bummed him out, and he's broke my balls throughout the years. But when we finally had a chance to re-release it, we made sure that was on there. But that one part really bothered me because you turn all the notes in, your thank yous. It has nothing to do with Chris Bridge 9. It was outsourced. He was bummed as well, but it wasn't me. It was out of my hands because once you turn that stuff in, but I was really so fucking vexed and so bummed on that when it happened. But Skiba understood. It was out of my hands, so
probably the most legendarily long fucking thanks list. Yeah, where you're like, your thanks list continued on our website.
Our barber,
everything. It said that in the record.
But you know why?
thanklist.com and see the rest of the Thanklist.
No, it's true. But for me growing up,
right.
Thanklist is how I found out about bands.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
All the T-shirts they wore in the fucking layout. So like,
absolutely,
the Thanklist was so important. Yeah, we
It's
used to go
super
crazy,
important.
so anal about that shit. Dude,
I used to put so much thought into that.
I
Yeah.
know.
And then I always would forget somebody.
And
Oh, yeah.
that one person would hit you up too.
Oh, yeah, they would hit you up. Dude. And I
Damn.
always feel bad. So now I'm just like, my family, my friends.
Yeah,
The
I'm
bands
totally
we tour
the
with.
same way.
I think I would do that now, but
I'm totally the same way.
I
My
love you, Skeeves. That
bandmates.
was total accident. It wasn't on my
So-
point. I turned my shit in.
So, excuse me.
Oh my
So
god!
let's fast forward all the way to 2013.
Wow.
Sick.
The mediator between head and hands must be the heart.
Oh, I mean, I guess like just before going there, like with Kairos, the album with Roy Z.
Yeah.
That was a crazy experience, just like doing that whole thing. But what he really brought to the table is like we stopped really focusing so much on the theme that we were talking about, like we always had. And Roy brought to the table was like, "Yo, you guys should just have some just rocking out shit." Like he's like, that's what always drew me to Sepultura, like the rocking sound and just like really
groove
just
to it.
groove your head to it. And he's like,
So
just-
no theme.
not really so much of a theme. Just get back into like just writing that shit of just openness and just let
The
it
theme
flow.
is making that festival crowd bounce.
Yeah. He was
Yep.
like, I want to see that.
I have a question too. So when you had a theme on the record, did that mean that you would change the theme of your stage show, change your merch, change everything? So,
everything.
So every album changed everything.
Yeah, everything.
Banners. I mean, obviously banners, but like
All the
Campaign.
artwork, everything. You know,
Wow.
like completely different.
that's a lot of
artists.
shit, man.
That's a lot. Yeah, every backdrop. I mean, every aspect of it just changing. Oh
Wow.
like,
Damn.
And so it's a lot. And by then we were like really used to it, but it was like sophomore album with Dolabella, and it was like new label, and so we had like, and there was a big, I mean, Nuclear Blast. They
No
had
joke.
They didn't buy up everything yet. Like
They had a
Right.
big presence over
they had
Europe,
a big
though, yeah.
presence.
Oh,
and they were
dude.
independent label.
Yeah.
And the owner Marcus
The
was
metal
like,
epitaph.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Right?
And they had shit in order. The people that worked there love music. You
Yep.
know, and Marcus was like the main guy, and he was like, "Yo, honestly, he's like, I'm a hardcore guy."
That guy's
And,
very
and
nice.
like
He is a
before
hardcore guy.
I
He
met
is.
him, he was like, I collect 7-inches my
Sick.
whole life. I used to sell them out of my apartment. He's like, I'm a hardcore punk guy, and that's why I like you so much.
I got
you
first.
know?
I got first pressing of the Outface 7-inch.
He was just like really straight up like, that's what really wanted. It's like he's like, that was a factor that really helped in signing you guys. He's like, I knew that you're a hardcore guy, and I was like, again, hardcore
Wow.
coming
Always
Full
coming
circle,
back.
full
Always. Man.
always. Yeah.
Was that you? Are those words yours? The mediator.
Oh,
between
okay. So
head and
the
hands
next
must be the
album.
heart?
So
I'm gonna take a pee again.
I'll
Okay.
tell you like really quick that Dolabella, the drummer, he ended up leaving the band, not wanting to
Right.
go on tour. Again, personal.
That's when Eloy came into the picture.
Right. So again, we're just like, what are we gonna do? You know, like people love this album. It was a big change with Kairos when it came out. People are like,
bro.
yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like it was I don't know, maybe a little more relatable to a general population of people, but I don't know what it is. You never really know. But it just you could feel it from the shows getting bigger. Just the reaction becoming a lot
Absolutely.
different. So then we have a lot of songs we can play.
I love that.
And
dude.
so
It's
it was like,
fuck you, fuck
so
you.
it became more and more of like, you know, newer songs
Yes.
or Derrick Air songs.
and it feels great.
Yeah, it feels great, you know, and
You're
we can mix
emoting
both
with
of
your
it.
own thoughts. You're
No,
expressing your
absolutely.
own
And
ideas.
it's challenging. And again, we have already built like a fan base that's a younger fan base.
Wow.
And so then that's when we met. You know, we needed a drummer, and then Eloy
Eloy came into the picture.
And Eloy came into the picture with the mediator between head and hands must be the heart is a title that Andreas, our guitarist, thought of, coming from like Metropolis, from that movie, that idea, because we were always in these arguments about, is technology helping humanity or is it taking away?
Oh, that's brilliant.
And so we always had these discussions on the bus. It's just like,
You guys are too smart for metal.
Oh, dude, they're brilliant.
No disrespect.
It's
No,
crazy.
not saying metal's dumb, but like,
I mean, it was just like, I don't know, just straight talking. I was like, technology is fantastic. There's a lot of things that we wouldn't be able to do without it, and
but the heart must mediate that, and keep you grounded.
And it went deep on that. And it was like, beautiful. Okay. And so we had a Brazilian artist come and do. We were like, okay, we're gonna have an artist, who we're gonna pick out, and it ended up being a Brazilian guy, and he had just like a chalk drawing, and it was just perfect. We didn't ask him to change anything.
It just spoke to you.
It just spoke to us, and it was just like a dude reaching into his heart, just dark. And we're like, we're gonna get gnarly with this album. Now we're with the drummer that loves metal. And so, and Eloy is young. He can do everything.
You went from Roy to Loy?
We went from Roy to Eloy.
Yeah, dude.
But Eloy was like super young. He was super talented. He already played in a lot of different bands before. He played in a pretty popular Brazilian rock type band.
Which band?
I can't remember the name, but they were.
You guys can just Google it.
Yeah, you can Google that. But he had already won like modern drummer contests of like he was 14. And they were like, yo, we're going to fly him. And he can see that on YouTube too, where he's just like a kid playing these crazy Brazilian rhythms, just like a solo in front of all these people on stage. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, this guy has got to be in the band.
And I feel like he took that trademark Sepultura thing that Igor started and just took it in a new direction.
Yo, he took it in a completely different direction. I mean, they're both incredible drummers.
But it sounds like Sepultura still. You know what I mean? But he figured out how to harness that energy.
Oh, right.
Kind of like the difference between Bostaff and Lombardo. Lombardo, I feel like, really pioneered and created that sound. But then Bostaff came in and said, how can I respect that but make it backwards?
True.
You know what I mean? You'd be like, what is that kick pattern? Like, what are you doing? Like, it's
a lot of
bizarre,
respect. Yeah.
So I feel like it's a similar vibe.
It can be, I think, at times. It's like I think with Eloy, he's always growing. He's still so young, and so it's always amazing to see him play and see what he'll come up with. But that was the first album with him, so he was again, everybody getting used to each other again. Right. He's got a different energy, which is like way over the top. So it's just like, oh shit, live shows, everything started to really change up. The songs are really dark, really brutal, and we went with Ross Robinson as the producer.
Yeah.
And who did Roots album. Circling Back. Yeah. And Ross is a very, organic type person, He's just like, we're going to talk about feelings.
Did he bury your tapes?
No, he didn't bury the tapes this time. This time he did not bury them, but it was really like talking about the songs, how we feel about them, everyone playing together in the same room, supporting each other.
It's cool.
Really getting in touch with this whole new lineup.
Did you get to feel that intensity? My buddy Riley, he plays in this band Night Versus, and they worked with Ross. And he was telling me like some of those famous Ross stories, and he's like, yo, bro, he's like, I was trying to do this bass part, and he's like, I was hunched over and my bass is really low and I'm hitting it as hard as I can. And he's yelling at me, you're not doing it hard enough. And he's like, dude, I did it so hard, I hit the floor. And he's like, and he said, he was like, fuck, God damn it. And he's yelling at it. And he goes, it was good a while ago. I think you just needed to get that out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right? So you can be good tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I wanted to kill him at times,
Really?
It was just really, because you're going super deep into yourself, and you have like any of those fears or doubts, you really put those out there, and it's just like, be real here. This is the fucking moment that you're here to do your stuff. Why are you holding back? Don't hold back anything, and it's just like, you're right, getting into that whole focus. But that helped tremendously working with Ross and for my first time.
So then Eloy joins the band, gets to work with the most prolific producer of it must have been fucking crazy for him too.
Oh yeah. And Lombardo came by as well, just hanging out.
Can you imagine being a drummer and Dave Lombardo comes by? You'd be like, fuck, bro.
But Ross
really?
did it naturally. Ross did it naturally.
Like,
he was over with this dog, and it was like, oh, here's my dog. And it was like, guess who just happened to come by? And it's like, hey, why don't you get up some drums here and just do a jam?
And he kind of stepped into shoes just like yours.
Oh yeah.
Replacing a brother and heralded as the who is the GOAT. You know what I mean? So
and again, Eloy just doing what he does
his thing. He wasn't pretending to be him like you weren't pretending to be him.
And that helped tremendously.
Now, having Eloy join and coming at that time, did that have something to do with the decision to make that Rock in Rio record with all those drummers?
Oh, I mean, that already happened.
Les Tambors du Bronx.
Or
was that something you had done previously?
We had done previously with Jean Delabella.
Oh, that was with Jean playing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we did it with Eloy, too.
Okay, which is phenomenal. They're on stage with how many drummers?
There's like 20 dudes with like huge like oil drums, like just beating the hell out of them. And we met them at a festival. It was like Free Tibet Festival.
Wow.
And we played with them, and we were so impressed by the energy. Again, like the taiko drummers from Kodo, Japan. And so we were like, wow, they have that raw energy. It's really cool. Maybe we could do something together with them. And so we just contacted them, and they loved the idea of doing some Sepultura songs.
Dope.
And then us doing some of their songs together.
Everybody YouTube that shit. It's fucking insane.
And so it was insane. We're like, let's do it at a festival.
You dropped that record, and then you dropped right after it. It was like a soundtrack for a TV miniseries. I'm not going to say it right, but Double Identity.
Right. And that was pretty much my guitarist worked on that.
Okay, you didn't write any of that music or any of that? Okay, because it was like the theme music.
For the television.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And it was under the Sepultura moniker, right?
Right, right.
Okay. So that drops, so you're just chilling.
Yeah, we were doing a lot of touring. It's like, this is the new guy, and then it's like really people seeing the show live started to change like that energy, you know. When somebody new comes to the band, it can bring a whole new energy. Yeah. And we felt that, I think.
Reborn, kind of,
I
totally
love it.
Rebirth, and we're Nuclear Blast that are like totally pushing it. So with the Nuclear Blast change, we just started to notice like the growth in like a younger audience, bigger audience, better shows, and like everything really going in an upward direction. People that believe in what you're doing. And so that was
it affects you and your band becomes
absolutely.
More of a force.
You know, we're just like, regaining this confidence within ourselves with this whole new formation.
So that happens, right? 2015 comes. You guys are both still doing your things. You come out with Use Your Voice.
Yes.
Chad Gilbert does it, and
Paul Miner.
With Paul Miner. And dude, it's a fucking big record. #1 Heat Seekers, Billboard.
What label was it?
It hit number 86 on Billboard, dude.
Oh, I didn't remember
that. That's a hardcore record, dude.
Wow. Against Bridge 9,
Bridge 9. So you stuck with Bridge 9. You're like, this is where we're at. This is our home.
To be honest, we haven't been signed to the label since then, but we still deal with them with no contract.
Nice.
That's how much we love Chris, and and he's done so good by us.
I see.
That's incredible. Dude.
He's not the typical industry, but he's a hardcore kid, you know.
So Use Your Voice, dude.
Wow, I didn't realize all that shit.
It really is powerful, and it spoke. I played shows with you. During that record, and I watched it, dude. It's just nuts, and we joked around about it last time. You want to get a slamming fucking hardcore show in Germany? Fucking get us and you guys. You know what I mean?
Use Your Voice. Does that have Max on the cover?
Yeah.
Rappaport
did the photos.
So Rappaport did those photos?
Uh-huh.
No way.
Yeah, the photos of Max.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so we had we had stencils made in the backyard, and we took pictures of the stencils glued onto my wall right there. Yeah.
Here?
Uh-huh.
That's a cool idea.
DIY, everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
That's dope.
So, he did those.
Cool. That is a huge record. You guys are touring like crazy. Was that the record? You did like a big show, I remember, in L.A., and like Travis played drums. And it was around
was that the
time,
one with the Roxy, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Huge. I mean, everybody, HO.
Yeah.
Dude, you guys are just, I don't know.
I forgot what show that was. Yeah, Travis played One Life, One Chance and Guilty with us. Yeah.
It's like your band just got exponentially bigger.
There's 7 years in between that record as well.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Exactly.
Yeah, so we did it on purpose. So it's like Go 7 years, and then Use Your Voice after Nothing to Prove 7 years. And now it's almost how many years?
Yes.
Oh, my
almost.
God. So Nothing to Prove, then Use Your Voice.
Yes.
With 7-year gap.
Yep.
Wow.
And Go Nothing to Prove 7 years. So it works. Like, fuck, let's just keep doing this. Let's not rush for nothing else. So, yeah. So now we're almost due for a new record, to be honest.
So we've been talking for a while, and everybody listening, thank you, because I know I'm not moving super fast, but I want to know everything.
It's all good.
I really want to know everything.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get to everything, you know? And so you guys are smashing the fucking planet, dude.
Yeah, I have a question. I mean, did you notice a fans changing or staying the same?
Younger.
Or they're older or younger fans?
Yeah. So now the people that grew up with the band for 26 years, they're having their own children.
Okay.
And so they're bringing their kids or their cousins or nephews. So yeah, our crowd's gotten crazy younger. It's crazy, man.
Now, this is why we're lucky. Jason Cruz from Strung Out pointed this out to me. We were both hanging out at a show watching the Reverend Horton Heat play.
Okay.
And we were both just, as you get with him, mind blown at he's a virtuoso. And he's playing the guitar, killing it. And we're looking at the crowd, and I was like, man, there's a few young people here, man. Some young greasers checking out the rap, and he's all like, he's all, yeah, and he goes, he's all, hey, man, we're all lucky. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, the cool thing about metal and punk and hardcore or thrash or whatever you call our realm, the older you get, it's weird. I was the same way. It made me think that bands were cooler the older they got. But that doesn't happen to other genres of music where you got to get your face stretched out and fucking da-da-da. The realer it gets, the more sincere it gets with time, the deeper your writing gets, the more respected you become.
It's really interesting, actually. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely get younger,
Mike Ness, come on, man.
I know, man.
That dude is the coolest human being on planet
Still
Earth.
the coolest. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's was cool then, but he's cooler now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So you just get this natural kind of, there's this natural swagger.
When you get older.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. So here we are.
That's a good point.
2015. Yeah. You guys are running on natural swag. and fucking you come out with a split record, which is just like fucking hardcore, the split with Exodus, Elder Gods. Didn't you do it?
I was like, whoa. I was like, oh shit, we did.
It was on Spotify for a minute, then it was gone. There were some new songs, and it's listed on Discogs as a split. And I always thought that was weird because
that
it was like
weird. That's
there were some
pirate shit. Man.
There were some Seps songs on Sepultura songs on there, and there was Exodus songs on there. So I don't know if that was unofficial. And I
think that was very unofficial and not legit.
It was gone. It was gone, and I remember being like, yo, I'm trying to fucking find this thing, and I'm Googling it, and on Google, it's listed.
That's crazy.
So maybe it was just a bootleg or something.
I don't know.
There's some demos. There was covers on there, I think, but I could never find it.
That's weird. I mean, there's
Look
definitely...
it up. It's unofficial. We'll Google it.
It's definitely unofficial because, I would tell any kids out there, like, keep your publishing.
Yeah, because it was up and it was gone. Oh, no, you're right.
Yeah.
I remember Sick of It All telling us that early on. They're like, yo, dude, we get to Europe and there's just new live albums from us. And I'm like, I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah. So,
publishing.
Okay. So, past that, 2017, Machine Messiah.
Can you get him a drink, please, sparkling? Me too, Max.
So
Liquid Death, please.
2017 Machine Messiah.
Okay.
Kevin Codford. I'm gonna say at least his last name wrong.
Jens
We
Bogren.
don't have any.
Oh, sorry.
Check in the back. They're in the back, Max.
You worked with these conductors.
Oh yes.
Kevin Codford and Elise Bauschauscha. I'm gonna say it wrong.
Okay.
But you work with these conductors. Okay, how did you even find them? And where are they from?
I think a lot of times we really reach out to people who aren't in the metal world,
which is fantastic,
and it's important because we love so many different genres of music. So we're friends with certain composers or certain people that know other people, so after working with Ross and doing,
you moved to Jens Borgen,
yes, and so I felt that people really loved Mediator. They thought it was amazing. It's dirty as hell, it's brutal.
Yes.
And so I felt that it was like, wow, we should really find a completely opposite producer. And I really love the way that a lot of Swedish bands are sounding and the production.
It's so smooth.
It's smooth. You can hear it clear.
Yeah.
It's heavy, but you can still hear like the melodical parts or the singing parts.
How does the singer from In Flames sound like the most evil man on earth, but at the same time it's so catchy and melodic?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's bizarre.
I mean, there were a lot of... I was always mystified. I was like, man, Sweden always has banging sound and banging producers. And so looked up Jens and I was like, told everybody, I was like, we got to really work with this guy.
Did you fly him out or did you go to him?
We went to him. Like we were actually on tour and we met him at like a truck stop in Sweden, like in the middle of nowhere.
And you just stayed out there and recorded?
We wrote to him and we're like, hey, we really want to work with you. And he was just like, yeah, great. Demos, send me the demos and we can do this. And
wow.
He lives on a farm in the middle of like nowhere in Sweden.
Who's that?
Jens Bogren.
Okay.
In Örebro, in this area, it's a small city.
Wow.
And that was a game changer, honestly. I mean, working with him was phenomenal. It was draining, and we had to really put that album out pretty fast for some reason. I felt that, like, okay, a lot of pressure. But it was the second album with Eloy, and we were going in super confident. And so that really changed the game.
And also at this point, so many years later, dude, like, straight up, because I've said this about my band, and anybody ever, you still hear somebody say, hey, this dude, the new dude, I'll be like, yo, this dude was in the band longer than the dude you like.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know what I mean? Right. So, so by this time, that's gone.
Oh, I mean, by that time we didn't didn't care. We had done so many tours and albums and amazing shows.
And you're just in full free expression.
Absolutely, and we're very, very confident. At this point, we're just like, let's nail this. And I was like, yeah, this producer is really adding to the, Jens is really adding to what we've done. And I told him, I was like, I really want to be able to come across with some singing parts that just really cut through, that are powerful, just as powerful as the screaming. And he really got that, and we were able to do that with the title track, Machine Messiah. And then once everything was like done and we're sitting there and he's like, I'm going to be mixing it, I'm going to be doing everything, he was on it, very meticulous about his work. And we're just like, you know what, everybody was like, title song should be Machine Messiah. And I was like, yeah, but I'm singing at the very beginning. It's like really droning, like march, kind of like death
really
march.
Different for you guys.
Totally different.
So
like not starting the album with just like, the heaviest song. And I was like, all right, like, yeah, let's do this, and it's just like taking that chance. I thought was really big with that album, something we'd never done before.
You also pointed out the idea of the melodic vocal being as powerful as the scream,
right?
The growl, which, as you know, is important because, and I think that's another thing that, at least for me, comes from hardcore. And I always try to make my clean vocals powerful. And I look at bands like Uniform Choice,
right?
Yeah, you're like, bro, that is power, and that's just as powerful as Barney,
right?
Going, on Scum,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, dude,
screaming for a change, no reach it. Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean? So I totally get where you're coming from on that. And I'm so glad you brought that up. So you felt really comfortable with Jens. You loved spending the time there. Is that why you went back?
Yeah, I mean, especially with Jens, because he works with each person individually. It's like, when it's my time and it's my time, and we're there, like going back and forth, like having fun and talking about a lot of different things, and it's a fun time. Same with my guitarist, when he was there, it's just their time. I was out doing some other stuff, either writing lyrics or working on, certain parts, like, okay, just finalizing a lot of stuff, but most of it's always written before we go to Jens. But he's had the demo, so he already knows, like, every part. He's like, what about this part? And they're like, what part?
He studied it.
Yeah, he was like, oh, yeah. I was like, oh, shit, I forgot about that. And he remembers stuff. And I was like, man, I respect this guy. I respect what he's saying. He knows exactly when it's like, why I don't like something. He can explain why he doesn't like it, and we should do it again. So he's like,
it's
really
hard to
like
find somebody that can really articulate their feelings.
Absolutely, without frustrating.
Because in the studio, somebody will be like, I don't know, man, it sounds a little blue.
And I've been, man, I know this. He's like, I'm gonna fucking knock you out, man. I'm about to knock you out. Yeah. But he would say it in a way it's just like funny, like, that was good. And then you're like, yeah, but fuck, I could do better. And he's like, okay, well, we'll see if you can do it better.
Wow.
And then when it's good, it's just like,
then you get
that was good,
reaction.
And then you're like, okay. Ooh, so you start to know, like, his demeanor. If he's like, nah, that was okay, and then you, but you're like, fuck. You start pushing yourself.
So.
But that helped tremendously. But that just, I mean, the difference was pretty big from that skip from once that album came out,
right?
Because Eloy was definitely in his, comfortable and just
he's flying, he's
killing it. Like literally live, especially.
It's pretty surreal.
Yeah.
He's so fucking good.
It's just
the producer guy. The drummer. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh.
And it's just like the whole show, like you were saying, Toby. We had to change the whole setting of the show, the whole backdrop, everything, the whole direction. The artwork was a Filipino artist.
Yeah.
She's from the Philippines. We never met her.
Wow.
The guitarist saw one of her paintings online.
Damn.
Going through and it just. Again, we didn't ask her to change anything. We're like, we want to buy your painting the way it is and how it looks. So I was like, she doesn't speak English, I was like writing her, and then we didn't hear anything for like a month.
Damn.
Then like a couple months, and Andres was like, I don't know if she can read this or understands what we want to do. And so I contacted a friend of ours who's Filipino who lives in Manila, and he contacted her and was like, yeah, she had no idea.
Wow.
But I talked to her, and she doesn't know anything about the whole metal world or anything, but she was like, she'll sell it.
She thought it was cool?
Yeah. She was like, wow, that's cool.
That's
great.
amazing.
That's awesome.
So it was just like, that was the artwork. Didn't have to change anything. It was like perfect. It was like a machine, and it was just like the whole idea of like, this is the new Messiah, your phone. You Google it, you ask it questions, you believe it.
Wow.
People believe in it. It's like, machine Messiah. Like,
I love that.
Tell me, And it's a scary position to be in because, this can be very...
Oh, dude, you can't do anything without a phone. I mean, you can't get a job without a phone.
It's crazy, man.
It's the new God.
It's an extension of the human body.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's creepy.
It's creepy. But that was the whole theme, and it was like, and then... Like, it's the timing. The timing was great, and the energy of our band. It's like we're doing stuff that we've never tried before, which really opened the ear of a lot of people that I was assuming would be hating on it. Mm-hmm. It brought in less haters, and it brought in a bigger audience. Like, even the ones that were hating before, like, this is kind of cool. And it's just
rad.
From that melodic singing type style at the very beginning of the album, and then we're just like, you know what?
If we listened to critics our whole life being in bands, we'd never got anywhere, done anything.
You're absolutely right.
It's so
now I
true.
Respect some writers. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I've said this. There's often been times where like, dude, I get it. Everybody has their own opinion, but there's some guys that don't understand our genre that like to comment on it,
right?
And they'll flagrantly just like whatever. And I've actually said this to a guy. I go, you know what, man? Like, you were so cutthroat about it, and it's not that I really care,
right?
But I told the guy, I'm like, I want you to know that while you sit in your room writing about what I do, I fucking do it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. What have you done? Have you written a song? You've been on tour?
What the fuck have you done?
Exactly.
Right.
What the fuck have you done?
Yeah, dude.
It's true though, because
so
half these critics never done anything. They don't even write music or wish they could or anything. And it's like,
exactly. So,
and how do you get a job to critique music if you're not a musician?
It's so lame.
It's really interesting.
It's weird. It's like getting a tattoo from a guy with no tattoos.
Movie critics have to go to the movies and watch them, but they don't write movies either. But I'm saying you should be, if you're a musician,
it's different.
You could maybe critique shit, but still then you'd be more sensitive to it because you are a musician and been through the same shit.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. It's weird.
Yeah, I would just be like, okay, well then show me your song.
Exactly.
Fucking, I bet it sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's some serious haters that are out there just trying to hatchet artists just for the fact of doing it to create like a buzz for their audience.
100%.
Which is ridiculous.
Which in hindsight, at the end of the day, I remember seeing so many bad reviews of my first record, and it worked out. So
exactly,
hey, thanks for the favor. You know, talk about me more. Talk about me more.
It's so true, man.
So here we are on the timeline. You're stoked when the ends, then you get to 2020, and there's Quadra.
Yeah, with the ends again.
Yes.
Because we already felt, we're like, you know what, we're probably going to come back here again because it was so good.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it was, I mean, very hard to work on the next album because we're really, again, pushing ourselves, but at the same time, it was super comfortable,
Now, do you feel that at this point, just in your life as a person, that having... You'd lived in different places. I remember you were saying you had lived in Amsterdam, I think.
Yep.
And you lived in Brazil forever. You're here now again. But do you feel like because of that, by the time you got to 2020 to make a record, are you writing a record from the perspective of someone from Brazil?
And some,
you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, there's a song, Guardians of Earth, is directly because of Brazil and the Amazon and that whole idea coming from being in Brazil and seeing... or talking to certain people and reading about it and seeing certain things that really add to that song, of course. I mean, and I think anything that you're doing, like you said, Toby was saying that he moved to California, having a kid, going through all the experience is going to be in the writing for the next album that you have. So it just happens naturally. It's life. You
It's
know,
life.
he's going through
Experiences, man.
changing experiences, and then you're like, man, I got something different to write about. And so it's the same from traveling to all these different places.
I'm not a part of a scene. I'm not in New York. My scene is my house, being a parent, my wife,
Yeah.
everyday life.
Right.
We don't hang out on the curb anymore.
That's what I'm saying. So your scene's
Yeah.
changed.
Right.
It's interesting.
But I mean, like getting back to the point of like bands just like needing to take those chances. Like the biggest bands that are still around were the ones that did take those chances.
They're the only ones that are remembered.
Right. Metallica.
Black
I remember
Album.
Black.
Yep.
There
Yeah,
you go.
bro.
I love the album, man. I
People
love that
were
album.
hating
I
on
know.
it.
Even Injustice was a big jump.
was like people were like,
know.
"Oh, I'm done with this. It's over." And
Was,
I'm like,
was that song
They're
one?
just getting good.
That
Yeah,
song
one.
one was on there.
It was
Great.
their first
Yeah,
video,
man.
their first video
Yeah.
on MTV, and people were hating on
Yeah.
them.
Dude,
They're like, "Why
one
you doing-"
Green
one
Day
of the
too.
heaviest
Sorry, I
songs
get-
ever.
oh,
Green
man.
Day, Broken Boulevard of Dreams. Green Day, their ballad.
Amazing.
Timmy Chunks in that
Amazing
video.
ballad.
Yeah, he is, dude.
That's a great song, though, man.
Beautiful.
Fuck.
Dude,
So
so
take chances, man.
Yeah, those chances are
you-
super important.
do you think this journey for both of you guys, do you think this journey to work from, way back when we started in 95, 96 to 2020, do you think that all these experiences have like drastically changed your worldview, or do you think it just strengthened your worldview and just made all these experiences just strengthened who you were? Or did it change any of who you were? Did you lose something along the way, or did you just feel like you gained more?
I think it made me a more open-minded, well-rounded human by traveling the world at such a young age. From going to Europe in going to South America in 1989 or 90, was sick of it all. Man. Just traveling the world, that was my college, and seeing the world and being able to play music in different cultures and people sing along in different languages and just traveling, getting out of my comfort zone, getting out where I live, and music taking me on this fucking journey. Yeah, it's made me, I feel like it's made me, I don't know, it's made me who I am today. Like I have so many different experiences from traveling in my mind and just seeing the way different people live and just leaving America, just all that stuff. Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's definitely changed me in such a positive way. Playing music is so, I don't know, it's magical and inspiring, and for me, it's a really positive thing,
And I feel like you guys have probably gone through it mentally and emotionally over the years. There's those dips, but now,
Totally.
Now I'm in this place, at least with myself personally, where it still blows my mind every single time some dude is all, man, I think it's so cool you come my country,
Yeah.
like wherever you are, and I'm just like, thanks, man. I can't believe I'm fucking here either. You know what I mean? This is crazy, bro. You know, like,
Oh yeah.
what am I doing here?
It definitely from traveling, I realized that I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Dude,
Every time you travel, I'm like, man, I thought I knew this, but
yeah. And when we meet people our age that have been through such drastically different experiences,
but it's great to step out of your comfort zone.
So-
That's extremely important to really to get a better understanding of what's
Keep
really
creating.
going on. Because you get so caught up in your own shit. It's just it can blind you. So it's important. I think to have that. Without fear, to step outside your comfort zone and not be controlled by that fear.
Yeah, and I'm very lucky that I thought becoming a parent would change everything, but be able to become a parent, then have a chance to take my son around the world since he was 4 years old. He's been to Japan twice, South America, everywhere. He's in Russia.
Last time I saw him,
was in Europe, right?
Slovenia.
So be able to be able to give my son that experience at that young age, I think is for him. It made him such a well-rounded kid too, and very look you in the eye when he talks to you, respect.
True.
Just everything
He's
about being
very
a gentleman.
respectable.
Just everything he's learned and seen. You can't get that from a book in school. I'm sorry.
Absolutely
Even
not.
him missing some school, that he was like, where were you, Max? Like, I was in Chile. Okay, can you write about it? We'll give you credit for that because it's experience. Like you went somewhere they were only reading about. You know what I'm saying? Like, so all that,
incredible.
the music has taken me so far around this world, and I got to bring my family with me and meet so many people and to become my family. Like it's incredible.
I know that feeling. I remember just like the first time going to Connecticut and being in some like the museum where they got the Ferris Bueller stuff. Like Ferris Bueller where they're staring at that painting. So we all went and stood in front of it like, oh, let's do this Ferris Bueller shit.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the payphone and calling my mom because I never seen nothing. I go, I saw this thing I saw in school once in this museum, Mom. Or I saw this painting. What the fuck? And that still happens.
Yeah.
So let's bookend this really quick.
Yeah.
2020, the lockdown, everything, everything just got stopped. Everything we were all trying to do got halted, and you still dropped Tainted Love.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it was before the lockdown, and it was for Comic-Con, or it was actually for a TV series. They wanted a song, and they wanted to to be Tainted Love, and I was like, oh hell yeah! I mean, I love Soft Cell.
Your Tainted Love is fucking hard,
brutal, man.
Bro.
We hadn't had a chance to tour yet on the album. Like the release of Quadra came out, and we're like waiting to go on tour, and they're like in between. They were like, let's do this, drop this soundtrack for this TV.
How'd the fans respond to that? Separate
they loved it.
Okay, awesome.
A lot of them were like, I love Soft Cell. You know, it's like, wow.
You've always done really unique covers.
Yeah, and then it's again stepping out of the box and showing people that we love other styles of music.
I gotta point this out because I didn't talk about it earlier, dude. Your Bullet the Blue Sky is so ill, dude.
Thank you.
Dude, I do not like a lot of bands will try and do U2, and I just don't feel it. And then I remember that came out, and I was like, oh, even this video's sick. Like this fucking
that blew a lot of people's heads. Like metalheads are like, U2? Like really? And there was like, yeah, U2.
Yeah.
This shit's
awesome,
heavy, man.
Yeah.
It's like
that's the video where you're like on a building.
Yeah.
And you guys made the mat and the bandanas with the Sepultura logo, and you're just like, on the roof.
And I was
so hard, dude.
It was crazy because I had that. I was the one that was like, I want this video to look like this, and I drew the storyboard for it, and I gave it to the director. I found the director actually is a Brazilian guy who's the cinematographer, and he wanted to direct, and he saw the storyboard. He's like, this is great, and I envisioned a young boy doing it, a Brazilian kid running the streets and doing it. But they were like, yo, you should do it, man. And at the time I was jacked, right?
You look like a warrior.
I was like so much.
That was in LA during the lockdown, or no?
No, this was like an old video. But I was just like, yo, I was like already happened to be going to the gym like every day for like a year. And I was just like, I was like, really, you want me? And they're like, yeah, it's your first video in the band, and it's a good way to show you. And I was like, all right. And then it was just like insane, but it was really that choosing that song helped a lot. Like a lot of Brazilians, like I'm definitely with Sepultura, you know, like 100%.
That's what's up.
I have a question for you though. I didn't know you sang it Inside Out in the Revelation thing.
Oh, the Revelation 30? Yeah, we Death Mysterio. We did the Inside Out cover set. We did. Dude, we also because Chris Lisk, who organized the show, asked us to do it, right? Mm-hmm. And dude, we got a lot of we were hearing through the grapevine, oh, people think it's lame you're doing that.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And then, people...
Never to your face.
Yeah. And the people that we knew, whatever, well, that's fine. That's their opinion, and people close to Rev and all that, they shouldn't be doing it. They shouldn't be playing. They weren't on Rev.
Wow. Okay, so who do they got then? Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
And we showed up and did it, and then you know what else we did, too? We fucking played True Till Death, fucking Chain, just threw it down.
Wow.
We're down with everybody.
Great response for the
it went off. We played As One, Warzone. We just threw him into the middle of the Inside Out record, dude. And
awesome.
And
it's cool you did that.
That day, Brett Ignite said something, and it resonated with me. It resonates with me because when you're talking about when you got in the band and you had to go, it's crazy, all this stuff. Then you go out and play the show and the whole place goes fucking nuts. And in your head, you're like, that just got validated.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Brett Ignite told me that. He's like, dude, we walked out there, half the place not wanting us to do it. We start playing, the place goes fucking nuts.
Wow.
And Brett told me he's all right at that moment. I leaned over to Lisk. He's all, that just got validated. Fuck, but that feeling is...
was it No Spiritual Surrender?
Yeah, dude.
That was crazy.
Sing-along was fucking bonkers. Damn. Alex from Chain played bass on...
Wow. I wonder if Zach ever saw that.
I don't know.
That'd be kind of sick.
Liz tried to get him to come, but...
And then one thing we did,
he can make it
on our part on our part one episode. The one thing you never mentioned to us, not that it makes you who you are, but you being vegan. I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, I am
bro.
vegan. Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, man.
And how long have you been vegan for?
It's been, how long has it been now? It's been some years, maybe 4 years. I was a vegetarian for a long time growing up because of the Smiths.
Nice.
And then my mom just never really ate a lot of meat. She just didn't feel it, and then we kind of did that together, we were both vegetarians. Yeah.
Nice.
And then I don't know why some tacos got in my way, and then I fell off, and then later in life
tacos got in my way.
Yeah, exactly. And later in life too, I have a weird stomach and things weren't going good for me, and then also I was dating a girl who's still my friend who worked at PETA.
Okay.
And she kind of really I feel like I loved animals, but she really opened my eyes and my mind and showed me what loving animals really is.
That's amazing, dude.
Wow.
You know, and I really thought about it. You know, Davey said it to me.
Of course.
Davey Havoc, he said to me, he's like, oh, you finally stopped ignoring your problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, you're totally right, man. And I feel it, and I feel like a different person mentally, physically.
It's awesome, dude.
It was a great choice for me, and I believe in it. And it may not be my platform, because it's not my band's platform.
Yeah.
But I do believe in it.
Yeah,
I believe in animal rights.
You're the only vegan in your band?
Now there's a JP's a vegan now too.
But you're the only vegan in Sepultura, correct?
Yeah, that's correct, sir.
Oh, you're a vegan too?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
he's
cool.
OG from the 80s with me. Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
That's how we roll, man.
Yeah.
That's how we roll.
So you guys remember the generation of when vegan wasn't a term. It was go vegetarian.
Then it was vegan.
Yeah.
They couldn't even say vegan back then.
Yeah, there was like vegan.
I didn't even know what it was.
What's a
falafels
or
and
like
shit.
they say in Germany.
I want a
Boca
falafel.
burgers and falafels.
Boca
and
pucks.
Yeah, dude, we've been through all the different stages of veganism.
Dude,
That's
I
so
met on
cool,
tour.
man.
He was like a vegan, and I remember he pulled a bag. We're all at like Vegas at a casino at a buffet, like stoked, and he pulls this bag of like trail mix out of his bag, you know. And I'm just like, whatever, bro. You know, chicken fried country steak, bro, or whatever they had at the buffet. But now, all this time later, I'll be on tour with Voodoo or the guys, and I pull out my bag with like 12 different vitamins and probiotics and a bunch of fucking seeds, and now I'm that guy now. Like I'm like, rabbit food.
And how old are you now?
46.
Yeah, you look great, dude. Yeah,
I appreciate that, man.
It helps your life, man.
Yeah, it changed my skin. It changed everything.
Yeah, dude.
It really did. And plus, you know, I used to like. I put a few back. You know.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it's crazy how just a diet can just change everything. Just what you eat can just change anything. Your skin, everything. How you.
Man.
100%.
It's just that easy, man. It's just.
And
I don't know.
someone said to me, a friend said to me that I've known for years. He finally just said, he's all, hey man, like. But why don't you eat meat? And I was like, dude, because you don't fucking have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and I think it made him think, because I remember the look in his face, like, oh, you know, I'm like, yeah, dude, people that were hunters and gatherers didn't eat that much meat.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They had to catch it, which is not that easy.
No.
If you ever tried that,
bro, you know what I mean?
With a stick or a quiver.
And we're not meant to eat that much meat and all that bullshit. Oh, well, you got canines. We don't fucking have canines,
I know,
dude.
man.
Like, you know what I mean?
It's always the lame arguments. You know, it's never anything that they truly believe.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like what they heard, their arguments.
Yeah, I said this on the podcast. I forgot with somebody last time. I used the word selfish. I shouldn't have said that. I should have said it's convenient. All the difference between eating meat is just convenience for people.
Yes,
that's all it is.
And
it's just
also cultural too. Like I would explain this to vegans, and I would get in conversations with the people at PETA, you know, and I'd be like, dude, like I believe in this with all of my heart.
Yeah,
but my homie's grandfather that lives on the rancho in Mexico is never gonna fucking be a vegan, has never heard the word, that, you know, and an animal is an inanimate object to him.
Yeah.
He can say it's cute, now we gotta eat. You know, and we would have these debates, and I'd be like, it's cultural. And I don't think we're really gonna break it down on the whole planet unless we understand other cultures.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of vegans, and I'm gonna say this because I came to veganism later in life.
Yeah.
I think I see a lot of vegans that only preach to the converted.
I agree.
You know what I mean? And they're not taking the time to maybe understand why a person in this country feels that what they're doing is normal and what you're doing is not good for you.
Yeah, and I replaced that word in my life. Always have the word teach. I mean, preach with teach. I'm teaching. I'm teaching, not preaching. I want to lead by example and not shove things down people's faces.
You want to be like the guys
whether it's straight edge or vegan, whatever.
It's like hear that.
It's like your mom tells you a bunch of shit not to do. You actually go do it. So it's like that's the same reaction you're gonna get when you force feed things to people. So that's 100%. Never been my approach, you know.
And you know, even with music and bands, like I always think it's cool to have a good message, but like when I go see H2O, it's like, dude, it's a fucking party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
it's fun.
Thank you. And it's just, you can't, I think people are more likely to go home to read the lyrics in your lyric book if you present it in a way that
100%
fun and entertaining.
Right. Yeah.
I think, you know, a lot of times people feel that they're under attack, you know, if you're vegan or plant-based, you know, that you're trying to take away their meat. No. And they don't understand
freedom of protein.
Trying to enhance it with a new flavor.
They really don't have an understanding, I think, of the full picture, you know, as far as like they're they'll use those examples like, "Oh, my uncle's farm, he's not doing anything. He's not going to change." It's like, yeah, but he's not creating the big problem of the big picture. He's like not talking about those little dudes on farms in small places. It's a mass consumption of big industrial companies,
which is terrible
factory
for the
farming.
planet.
This is where this is the biggest problem. It's not the little guy. It's not about going after. It's about understanding what these companies are doing to our planet and then to ourselves. That's the battle.
And to some of the most intelligent animals that love and recognize each other and want to be free and want to live.
Right.
Yeah.
And
they want to live.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like it's really not going after these. It's really going after much bigger problems than what people are presenting. It's always these little excuses. I'm like, yeah, but they're not creating the mass problem that's going on.
Totally.
A lot of it is just the understanding of what it is that we're buying and how it's affecting our planet. And how that connection, how we're all connected to that, how we all contribute a lot of times to these problems that are happening around us.
And cow's farts, or the methylene, what's it called again?
Oh, yeah. It's destroying the ozone.
Yeah, it's the worst thing car
like
fucking oil. It's worse than cars.
Absolutely. We don't need
it's
that
cow's
many
farts,
cows
basically, right?
on the planet.
Yeah, it causes a lot of damage to the ozone, and there are actually technology. There's ways of capturing.
And they're eating up good farmland.
Capturing,
they're destroying the land, actually.
And capturing cow farts?
Capturing cow farts.
And doing what with it?
They're able to convert it. It's a very expensive
methane?
process.
What's it called? What do they call it?
It's a methane gas.
Yeah.
It's very expensive
They'll find
process
a way to
to do
monetize
it.
every
But they will try to
single part of
monitor
an
it. But
animal.
I mean...
Yeah. It's true.
Leave them alone.
I mean, leave them. Yeah.
And
I love the arguments like, well, if you don't eat the cows, there are going to be cows everywhere.
It's so
bro.
stupid, man.
Dude,
wandering the streets.
I probably shouldn't be laughing at that. I mean,
no,
but
dude, how do you not laugh, dude? It's
I've
maniacal.
Heard that many
what are you
times.
going to do with all the cows we don't eat?
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
What are you talking about, bro? It's like the reason there's so
and they're
many
mass
cows
produced.
because they're mass
produced.
I remember Sick of It All being really eye-opening for me too. I was always like curious, but I remember Pete, when Mad Cow happened, we were on tour with them, and Pete looking at me and he goes, "Can you believe that someone would willingly still eat that?"
Right.
And then Lou turned around, he's all, "Yeah," like, "Ah!" And I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
absolutely,
yeah."
They will eat the hell out of it.
And I do think we need more understanding, and we need. I like something I learned too is like, it's always like, not like, "Hey, fuck you for eating that." It's like, "Hey, dude, I don't care what you eat. You want to try a bite of this?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you don't, that's cool too.
Like
you're never gonna.
I'm sure you're gonna like this.
Yeah.
But try a bite?
Think about food. How food brings all types of people together. All walks of life.
Absolutely, it's a connector.
Yeah, that's why I love Chef Scott and Chef Tall's motto, "World Peace starts in the kitchen," because I think that's so true. To sit down with all types of people and eat good food together, and like
beautiful.
And what you put in your body affects everything, your mind, everything. So
it affects the people around you.
Yeah, 100%.
And your loved ones.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I just want to,
Yeah, it's amazing, and I think the whole vegan thing's great. That whole animal connection to animals is a big deal for me, and just getting, I guess it's hard to get people to realize, like we were saying, culturally, like, dude, like. My uncle, that's got like a dog in the backyard with 2 X's in its eyes, like George Lopez always jokes around with flies all over it. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, that's his dog and he loves his dog, but he just doesn't get it.
Doesn't make the connection. Yeah,
that's not how you love a dog.
No,
you know what I mean?
Not.
But yeah, and also beyond that, like maybe just early on we can teach our kids to just love all
we
animals.
can do that.
Yeah.
That's absolutely
100% doing that.
Right.
Teaching the youth, I think that's absolutely the future.
The less division.
Right.
Yeah, my son's never had meat. He's very compassionate.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, he's 18.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's healthy as hell.
That's everything, man.
Yeah.
It's everything. So it's been a cool journey, and I learned a lot. And I bring up PETA not because they're the only people doing great things. It's just I don't know a ton.
Yeah.
And that's who really introduced me to a lot of this
that's
world.
Awesome, yeah.
And I through my friend over there, I got to meet the founder, the lady that ran
cool.
PETA, and I got to watch her speak, and I was so impressed.
That's cool.
I just felt nice to be around so much compassion and kindness.
Yeah,
right.
I love that.
Yeah, it rubs off.
It really does. It really
totally
does. So I try and support how I can.
I love that, man.
Any way I can, make conscious decisions and eat in certain places. Don't eat certain things, even if they are vegan. Some things are,
Totally,
reasoning.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
reasoning.
This was amazing. It was 3 hours, man.
Yeah,
wow.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, man.
It was, homie.
Hey,
I'm
everybody.
going to drop the whole thing, though. I'm not doing 2 parts. This is too good to separate.
Dude, this is right.
You did a great job, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it, dude.
That was
Dude,
killer, bro.
I
You get all the questions you want.
I was really nervous, man.
Nah, you
I
killed
was
it.
really nervous, dude. I don't know if you
You
can tell.
seem very
I kept trying
professional.
to like look at my notes. And
It's
I was like,
all
oh,
good,
fuck,
though.
I'm gonna get this wrong.
You flowed. He did great, man.
I meant to
He's
say this the other way.
fantastic.
I meant to jump faster.
But you get all your questions in. You're all good. You learned a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I just want to tell you one of the hardest lines of all time is all my heroes are people I already know.
Thank you, man.
Dude, that's one of the
that's a dope
hardest
line.
lines because there
I
was
like
a
that
time in
line.
my youth where I got to
Yeah.
that and I was like, holy shit. You know, like,
That's cool.
Thank you.
yeah.
I like that.
But thank you for letting me
Just
do
like,
this, dude.
Of course.
This is fucking mind blowing for me.
What, you taking that down?
I write down lines on my phone all day, dude.
Well,
Really
since
just steal shit.
since I didn't write any songs on the record, that goes to the Toby Morse. He wrote that.
Wow.
No way. Oh, that's right.
yeah,
that's
Tom
right.
Morse.
I think that's one of the
Tom
hardest
Morse.
lines ever
Tom
written.
Morse.
Respect, yo.
No, hey,
Role model.
I didn't get to ask you that, dude. What
TM.
was it weird at the point when Todd got so busy that like you just didn't see your brother every day anymore?
Yeah,
And he has to
so
come and
that's
go.
a great
Question.
question because so when H2O did the hiatus, I had Hazen Street,
right.
and then I was friends with Juliet Lewis and her sister, so I set
Yeah.
the whole audition up. So when
Wow.
Todd went to go to her house, first I met Juliet. We talked to her on the podcast. I met her at Amoeba and had to bring a copy of her latest record. So I met her in the record section. We hung out, and I gave her the Go album.
Interesting.
And then she listened to it. She loved it. She knew H2O because she's seen us before because her sister's from Philly, and we
Which
knew
sister?
Deirdre. Deirdre's a good friend of my wife.
And Deirdre, I worked
Worked
with
at the beauty bar.
At Beauty Bar.
And that's
right,
when my wife connected with her. So I met Juliet in New York a while back.
Oh yeah, the beauty bar.
Yeah, so long story short, Todd went to Juliet's house. She pressed play on the boombox, and Todd had to stand in front of Juliet Lewis and play the songs in front of her. He was so fucking nervous, but he got the gig. So her thing went from being like, hey, I'm going to try to sing in this band and do this thing, to boom, like getting signed, touring, fucking festivals blowing up. That went from to 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my shit only lasted 1 year with Hazen Street. So then I'm like, oh my God, I just fucking set my brother up with this amazing gig. But now he's like, now it's a full-time gig. So that's we got Mitch, we got a bunch of friends coming, Colin playing in the band,
dude.
Paul Delaney, a bunch of friends coming, taking my brother's spot. Wow. So, my brother officially sent us an email saying, hey, I can't do any more commitments. I'm going to have to back up. Not one of us in H2O responded to my brother's heartfelt email. And we totally, we didn't respond to that because Todd says we're in H2O. It's like the mafia. Like every time we try to leave, we pull you right back. So my
great,
brother's
dude.
been in and out for the past 15 years.
Oh yeah.
And so every time he can do it, because he's doing the May show with us.
Oh.
So anytime...
Come hang out with us, dude.
He's coming.
Come on,
He's coming.
dude.
I'm coming, man. I'm coming.
Yo, he's coming.
Yes, dude.
And so...
We're bringing the RV.
So
We're
then my
going
bro-
big.
and my
We're bringing
brother-
family,
My brother goes from Juliet Lewis for 8 years to Offspring for fucking 10 years. So I'm so
Wow.
happy for him. He's an official member. He's the bass player now. He was the backup guitar player, but now he's the right up front bass player.
That's what's up.
He's singing flies him in his playing. It's a crazy life. I'm happy for my
So
brother.
dope,
But he's
dude.
forever going to be H2O because that's our baby, and he was a big part of that with me. And when he can come back, he comes back. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
Me and
Yeah.
your bro had a few little moments on tour here and there because he would always come find me, especially back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
He'd always come find me and he'd be like, "Hey, I know you got some weed." Yeah, and I'd be like, "You're fucking right, bro."
Oh,
and
my God.
And then we go have our sesh, But
Yeah.
he was cool. And beyond the weed, the fact that your brother just took the time to bro down, dude.
Yeah.
How the fuck are you, man?
Yeah.
And I always really appreciated that. And
Yeah.
he's always done that consistently.
Yeah.
And
I'm happy for him, man.
yeah, I really like that. We played a weird lineup in, what is that fest? It's somewhere. It's Belgium. One of those only
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Europe
yeah.
lineups where it was Juliet Lewis, you guys,
Wow.
us, him. Remember him? The guy?
Yeah.
That guy's really nice. He's the nicest, mysterious guy I've ever met. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's shrouded in mystery. You know what I mean? This is his whole thing. And then he was just
definitely mysterious.
but I met him in a bar in New York, all right, and we're all in there, and all these people are showing up to this party. It was us and Mastodon, and we're in New York hanging out, and this black town car pulls up, and the driver opens it, and he gets out, and I swear to God, it's he didn't take a step. He was shh into the bar.
Floated.
The singer of him, she's floated in, dude.
It's that Finnish energy.
And he
flowing.
walked up to the bar, and we were all everybody was just so weirded out, and then he's just all, "What's up?" You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're a human. You're wow, you know, like, but that lineup was so bizarre, and I remember that whole day. We're like, dude, who comes to these shows? These people are rad. You know,
and it's a great show.
I love those lineups, like really crazy mixed up shows in
Slash,
Europe.
You know, like
I wish it happened in America, man. We're so lucky.
It's like you'll go somewhere in Europe and play with like Steel Pulse and Madball.
Yeah, we played. We played.
You know,
with like Most Def and some other.
We H2O, Madball, Agnostic Front, Wu-Tang.
What?
And Ice Cube.
What?
I got a picture online. It's Agnostic Front, H2O, Hate and Ice Cube all chilling.
Was that in Montreal?
No, it was in Europe somewhere, man. It was fucking bananas, dude. My God. Adam Blake was wasted up front doing the Wu-Tang symbol right on the stage. Like, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Like, he was, oh my God, man.
So brilliant, dude.
We're going to play more shows together in the U.S., though. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there should be more stacked bills like that. Diverse bills in America.
It seems like it's coming back with the fests that are coming up and everything.
I would love to play more in America. It's always been difficult for us. Yeah.
We're once things clear up, we're trying. We're gonna pursue it, but
I think it'd be fucking awesome. When's the last time you played in New York?
Dude, with Death by Stereo, it's been a few years, man. Like years.
Damn.
Like we just, for whatever reason, every time we try to get like a East Coast leg, something happened, and then
Who books your band?
Dave at Covert.
Okay.
We had an East Coast tour book with Good Riddance that got canceled. We had an East Coast tour book with Strung Out. It got canceled. Like all these things kept happening. The last time we were in New York was with Ensign.
Wow.
At the Knitting Factory.
Wow. It was a great venue.
Knitting Factory. Wow. And with Ensign, dude. Like,
damn,
that's
awesome.
Dope. It was so dope.
Fuck.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, stacked bills, all that shit, only in Europe, dude.
I know.
So many fantasy lineups. Like, oh, dude, we're playing with Queensryche and Biohazard.
It's like, oh, we're playing with Journey and Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah.
You know, just like, am I here doing interviews hearing Blue Oyster Cult?
We played with King Diamond, and I got to hang out with King Diamond. All his makeup was wild.
Oh, dude. Okay. You guys have been
Merciful Fate.
So good. Yeah. So good.
Merciful Fate.
You guys know this, and I was talking to, I think I might have talked to you about this before, but I was talking to Brandon from Bleeding Through about this. Like, you'll be in catering at a festival, and there's a dude with like spikes, and he's holding like a staff that looks like a TV antenna or something. It's corpse paint, and he's like, the scalloped potatoes are great.
Yeah.
Delicious today. These scalloped potatoes are amazing.
Yeah, like his normal voice, right?
Totally.
He's all scary looking.
Can I please have some more peas over here on the side, please?
Dude, it's
usually
so true, man.
Well-spoken European guy, very good.
Always that way, right?
Oh, yeah. Brand
pass me the peas, please.
Can you please pass those peas?
From Bleeding Through, I don't know what band it was, but he told me they were supporting some big black metal band. And he's like, dude, there was a couple nights where, neither of our bands were big. So we're playing this tiny room. And we're all in this dressing room. And he's all, I'm just sitting in a chair watching the show as these 4 black metal dudes in this tiny basement are shuffling around each other because they got spikes coming off their legs. And, excuse me. Excuse me.
What?
Excuse me. Excuse me. Trying to navigate out of there on stage with their guitars.
That's amazing.
And he's just watching the show. He's like, wow, look at this.
I love that.
I can't wait to get back and do that, man.
Me too. I want to get annihilated by fucking black metal bands at a festival. So bad. It's so rad because it's the best day of seeing all your favorite bands, and then you're like, oh man, our band's not heavy.
I missed the hot catering, been sitting out in the sun all day.
Oh my
God. Oh God. Sweaty meat.
Dude, thank you so much, and
thank you.
That was amazing. And this
gracias, amigo.
First time
gracias.
ever doing like a deep dive on that was really fucking fun, man.
That was very
like that.
Cool, man.
Very
cool.
Thank you, brother. And what I learned from this,
letting me be a nerd. Thank you for letting me be a nerd. Honestly, man, thank you for letting me. What
I learned from this is H2O's work ethic compared to Separatoris is 0. And that we put 6 albums out in 26 years. 6 albums in 26 years. 1 covers album, so 7 albums. That's not a lot of records, man.
You did it at your own pace, man.
Yeah, I guess so,
and
man.
you did some crazy touring, though.
Yeah, I know.
And you have a live at CBGB's under your belt, bro.
Damn.
Come on.
Facts.
Nobody gets that, dude.
No, I'm very... I just wish we did make more music. But
I'm gonna be diving into some of your old music, man.
All right, cool.
Hell
Seriously,
yeah.
After this, I really
and the covers album,
can't wait, man.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
I'm looking forward to it.
Stoked.
Well, Efrem, thanks for being here.
And really quick.
What?
I wanted to send a shout out, Mike from the Adolescents.
Mm-hmm.
Really appreciated all the love.
Hey! Will you come on the podcast someday?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
we'll get Tony out here.
Okay.
And in the labs, looking through the microscope.
So good. I know, it's so good.
So he loved all the shout outs?
He loved it, and so he mailed me a box, which I brought for you guys from his company, Learn to Forget.
Awesome,
I want
man.
to shout
Thank
out
you.
Learn to Forget brand.
Thank
Check them
you.
out.
Oh,
so yeah, he hooked you guys up with some new
big.
threads.
That's
And
big.
and I hope he knows that I feel bad that I'm such an adolescence poser, but I'm going to step it up now.
Oh!
I am, because of you. You schooled me on it. Like, I know the songs. I know the importance of them.
Amoeba.
I know that song. I know that song.
In Manic we do Amigo.
Ooh.
Perfect.
Do you think Amoeba got their name from that band?
I don't know, but Adolescence made a parody shirt that says Amoeba in their logo on an Adolescence shirt. It's just,
Let's just say they did.
And I saw Adolescence play Amoeba at Amoeba.
So would it be cool if Amoeba would Amoeba be even way cooler if they got it from that? Because it'd be awesome.
Way cooler. There's a record store in Fullerton called Black Hole that's named after Kids of the Black Hole. So that's something.
Okay, all right.
Efrem, dude, that was an amazing. You did a
Efrem's,
great job.
Efrem's.
You did your research. You fucking really deep dived.
You did do your research.
I know it went on and on, dude, but I had to get through every record, man.
It's okay.
I needed to know.
Right.
I love that.
I need to know.
This is 3 hours and 10 minutes. So I'm not going to cut it in half.
Yeah.
Everybody asked for this. They wanted this. I think music
Thank you,
people that
everybody.
love will really appreciate this deep dive, man.
And thank you to all of your guys' fans who have definitely reached out to me on social media.
That's awesome.
I appreciate. Thank you so much.
That's so cool.
Like, thank you all out there for being so cool and just
I love that, man.
Yeah,
reaching out.
You are a loved person, man. And people love and appreciate you,
No
man.
doubt.
I felt the love and I seen all the comments and shit.
yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Right on.
All right.
All right. Thanks for being here, Efrem.
Yeah.
This is part 2. There could be a part 3. We don't know yet when it's going to happen next, but it could happen. Thank you so much for listening to the One Life One Chance podcast. I appreciate your subscriptions. Please rate, review, spread the word, share it, whatever you can do. I appreciate it so much. I'm having so much fun doing this podcast, and I appreciate all the support. You guys are fucking awesome.